Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Today we have a different episode. We got three of us here. Hopefully it sounds good, but we got myself, obviously, we got Brundy, and we got our friend Cody, who is our resident expert on all things Calgary Flames. I'll start with Cody. How you doing?
I'm doing good today, honestly. Looking forward to talking a little hockey. I know we do this a lot off mic, but yeah, it's going to be good.
Yeah, and Brundy, are you super excited to talk about these two teams as well?
Yeah, we've been going through every team so far, kind of doing them, going through all of them, and, we're debating on how do we want to do Calgary. There's a lot of stuff going on with them, and then, Edmonton is another team that there's numerous things to discuss with them, so throwing them both together and bringing someone on to do it, it's going to be good.
Yeah, and yeah, there's definitely a very good chance this one will go long because now there's three of us to get sidetracked instead of just the two of us.
Well, we will get sidetracked eventually, but obviously today we're doing the Flames and Oilers. We will be starting off with the
Edmonton
loser in the Stanley Cup final, the Edmonton Oilers.
I thought you forgot.
The Edmonton Oilers last season finished with a record of 49 wins, 27 losses, and 6 overtime shootout losses for 104 points. The over-under on their points going into the season, 106.5. So just on the under. It is worth noting, with Jay Woodcroft, they had a record of 3 wins, 9 losses, and 1 overtime loss. And with Chris Knobloch, 46 wins, 18 losses, and 5 overtime shootout losses. So massive turnaround with Chris Knobloch for him.
Yeah, like they were basically like either like bottom or like they were like bottom 3 in the league by almost Thanksgiving. Like it was pretty far into the season when they were like not just outside the playoffs, they were like horrendous. So like the fact that they ended up second in their division, like with 49 wins, is kind of crazy.
Well, that win streak too.
Yeah, they definitely turned it around. As a Flames fan, watching the beginning of the season, it was very humbling to be like, oh yeah, the Flames are doing good, Edmonton's doing bad. But yeah, they went on a massive win streak. They turned it around in the second half of the season and just kind of, Chris Knobloch, I guess really, I don't know what he did, but the new coach came in and they kind of just went for it. So,
especially a guy with no NHL experience.
Yeah,
like
0.
prior to this job.
Yeah,
because that was McDavid's coach and junior, right?
Yeah.
Like they're literally like, well, we don't know how to win on a management level either. Connor, what do we do? And he made the right call.
Yeah,
so,
he 100% made the right call. He brought his guy in, and again, we talked about before we did Florida. 1 goal away from Game 7 overtime. You're 2 goals away from not only win the Stanley Cup, but also a reverse sweep in the Cup final against.
It would have been so good.
A great Panthers team.
Like I'm not even a massive Edmonton fan, and obviously I'm not a fan of the Panthers, but like just. We haven't seen since 93 a Canadian team win. Seeing them do a full reverse sweep, like everyone counted them out, obviously, after 3 losses. Like, yeah. That would have been really cool to see. But at the very least, at least they made it a series. Because that was some of the most fun I've had watching any hockey as a neutral fan.
Yeah.
Watching that finals.
Well, and it also changes the dynamic of where the Oilers are going into this season. Like, it's a totally different narrative going in now, being like, again, you're 2 goals away from winning the Stanley Cup, as opposed to, okay, you guys finally made the Cup final last year, but you got swept, or you lost in 5 games or whatever.
Yeah. If they got swept, Draisaitl might not be extended right now.
Yeah,
or definitely not at the same cap hit if he is extended. I would say
you could argue more though. Because maybe left a lot of money on the table.
No, that's what I'm saying. They would have had to convince him to stick around if they got swept, but they were so close that
they can kind of play that card. Hey, we were like Brian said,
we were
a couple goals
right
away from the Stanley Cup.
But we will dive in on some of the additions the Oilers have made. Back at the beginning of the offseason, we kind of did a free agency review. They were my pick for who I thought kind of had the best offseason. Not including Nashville because
plus.
that's a whole different category of their own there.
They're in their own league.
They really did like EA Sports NHL mode. Like we're just buying everything, and they just did it.
Yeah,
like,
they had the cap space, and they're like, let's use it.
Yeah.
So
Spend the money.
Barry Trotz is a legend.
Connor Brown being re-signed on a 1-year deal. Victor Arvidsson coming in on a 2-year deal. Josh Brown signing a 3-year deal. Corey Perry coming back on a 1-year deal. Jeff Skinner, 1-year deal. Janmark sticking around on a pretty cheap 3-year deal. Troy Stetcher going there, 2-year deal. And Adam Henrique re-signing on a 2-year deal. And then obviously Draisaitl with his massive extension later on in the summer. So
Yeah.
quite a few nice additions for them. I'll quickly just plug some notable losses for the Oilers. Warren Fogle, Ryan McLeod, Cody Ceci, if you want to count him. I think Draisaitl would.
Oh, true. The vibes.
And Vinny Darnay, as well as Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway,
Who
going to St. Louis.
Yeah, who Broberg especially kind of played quite a few minutes for them in the finals there. So, like,
Yeah.
not massive minutes, but like enough that it'll make a difference with the team.
Yeah.
So it'll be really interesting because honestly, like, they took a step back in some areas, mainly defense, but they don't look worse up front.
I think they look better.
Like, yeah, like they got Jeff Skinner now. They didn't have Arvidsson last year, right?
No, and
Like
that's the thing.
adding him, like that's gonna be big for them. Like you're already stressing so much over their power play. To have some decent guys on a second power play unit as well has got to be frustrating to play against.
Yeah.
Well, and we even, like, there's points during the playoffs, like, you know, you knew what the Oilers' number one line was going to be. You're rolling McDavid, Nugent, and, like,
Yeah.
you're fine with that. But then it was like Draisaitl's on the second line. And you're in the playoffs, like, round 2, and it's like Leon Draisaitl out there with fucking Corey Perry and Dylan Holloway. And it's like, how can you not give him anything else?
Yeah.
So now you're looking at you like, again, you know, it's probably still the same first line. But now if you've got Draisaitl and you're putting Jeff Skinner and Victor Arvidsson with them, like...
That's a lot more dangerous than previous. Yeah.
Yeah, all three of those guys can like finish too. Like those are 3 goal scorers. So like you can't really look anyone off as a defensive assignment either. So that's
that guy's passing the puck. We're just gonna not cover the shot. We're gonna cover the pass, kind of thing.
yeah.
Yeah, they're all gonna put it in the back of the net if you give them a chance.
Yeah, and like that's their entire game. Obviously, everyone knows that Edmonton, their whole thing is they're going to outscore their problems, and they're one of those teams that has been able to. And even in the playoffs, for the most part, they've been able to outscore their problems.
Yeah.
And we even saw for a while there in the finals, if they really need to unbuckle down, they can play defense. They really shut the Panthers down in games 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah.
And to an extent, Game 7.
I was going to say, even Game 7.
Like, it was 2-1. So
Yeah. It was a close game. Yeah.
And even the Reinhardt goal, it was a good shot, but Skinner probably should have had that one. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
they could have went 4 games in a row just completely shutting down the Panthers. And
Yeah.
if you're Edmonton, you can win playoff games 2-1. Like, that's huge for you.
Yeah.
Because we know you can score goals, but if you can win those tight, you know, close battle games, defensive battles, that's nice for them as well.
Yeah. Obviously, we're talking a lot about the playoffs because the Oilers are one of those teams that's beyond worrying about the regular season. I don't think they care what their seeding is. I don't think Connor McDavid cares at all about individual awards at this point outside of his Stanley Cup ring. Like, they want to win and they want to do it as a team. So
Normally, I would say no. Like, they'd be happy just getting into the playoffs. But, I mean, like, their building was just rocking during the playoffs.
Yeah, it was pretty
And
electric.
the party out on the streets, like,
Yeah.
that goes a long way for them. And so, you know, you're looking at it, it's like, again, if they don't get off to that slow start, they're probably winning they've got a very good chance of, you know, winning the President's Trophy. And then if you're rolling into the Stanley Cup final and you've got home ice advantage, you probably don't go down 3-0 as well.
that's a very fair point. I meant more like from management, they're not worrying about every move they make to improve their team is going to be getting playoff style guys. They're not looking to.
Yeah.
They're not. We're making a President Cup or a President Trophy run. We're
We
bolstering the lower end
Yeah.
so we can play the like you said, dirtier areas. Get those 2-1 wins in the playoffs. We don't care. We can outscore our problems later, but yeah, playing that hockey, it definitely, especially during the playoffs, it helps you realize, hey, we can play this kind of game, and you kind of get a little more experience playing in those tight games instead of just, hey, we're playing another blowout game of 7-2 or something, and then they caught up in a bunch of goals because we're not defending well. It's easier to just lay back when you're ahead a bunch of goals, but when you're playing those 2-1 games, it's like, okay, yeah, maybe we gotta play a little more conservative here.
Yeah, it keeps you grounded and kind of in the moment a little more, and like they really are a team. Like if they can get their, I'm gonna say bottom 9 to just play good hockey like that, like you can count on McDavid to score every playoff game he's in, basically.
Yeah.
Like almost every single one. So if your entire team can play good, decent defense, and like he's gonna put up something for you, like a hot take incoming, like good defense mixed with offensive winning championships, right? But
yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's hard to talk too much about them because it feels so obvious about exactly what they're going to go for.
Yeah.
Going into the season, it's going to be a little bit harder for them. They do have a better roster, but they do not have their first round pick this year. They don't have their second, but they do have St. Louis's second. They don't have their third, but they do have St. Louis's third, both from the offer sheets.
Yeah.
They don't have their fourth. They don't have their fifth. They do have their sixth and seventh, and then they have all their picks from next year. So I really think this year, the way their cap is set up, obviously Draisaitl has that huge extension that he's going to be making big money on. Bouchard, whatever his extension ends up being, is going to be way more than his $3.9 million he's currently making. They need to fire that 2026 first into the sun for some sort of rental, some guy that will even further improve I don't care if they're trading 3 or 4 years worth of first round picks. Like this needs to be the year.
Yeah, I think they're
like it really feels like this.
Yeah,
they're still gonna be competitive afterwards, but it's gonna be way harder.
They kind of dug themselves a little bit of a hole. I think it's not an impossible hole to crawl out of, but yeah, I feel like you're not wrong. It's kind of like a win now this year. Not some teams are like a win now for the next 2 or 3 years. It's like they're in a bit of a situation where they need to kind of win now. And yeah, you're right. Just fire those first rounds into the sun and pick up someone huge that's going to be like, hey, yeah, we'll take this guy, bring him in, bolster the lower end, and play some decent playoff hockey. Yeah, I think that's what they need.
Yeah, some teams have that couple year window. It really is like 1 year for them.
Yeah.
They'll still be good afterwards, but everything points to their depth will leave them.
This is the year to win now.
Yeah.
Because again, we just talk about these contracts and where they're going to be, and it's and even in terms of like their prospects, like it's like, okay, cool, you went out and got your guy at the draft last year in Sam O'Reilly, but it's like, was it really worth getting rid of your first round pick this year now? And now, you don't really have that extra piece to move.
Yeah.
Like instead of having, you've only really kind of got your one first round pick, it would have been nice to maybe have 2.
Yeah.
And then you could have even worked out maybe a potential bigger deal because, again, the prospects they have, sure, whatever, part of their new core, but who gives a shit what you have? Like you got to go for it this year.
Yeah.
Because you're still going to have chances with guys like McDavid, Draisaitl, Bouchard, Ekholm for a few more years. Yeah. You're still going to be a competitive team.
Oh, yeah.
But
a contender, not a favorite.
Exactly, right? Like, they are probably the favorite in the West. I'd say them or Dallas. Maybe, I don't even know if I'd put Nashville up there yet. But I think it's kind of Edmonton and Dallas.
Yeah.
But, like, again, if Edmonton adds in even one more piece to their forward, or you bring in a middle pair defenseman or something, like, that probably puts you over Dallas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
At least right in there. Like.
Yeah, like,
oh yeah.
I like the makeup a little bit better of Dallas's roster, but like we keep saying it, but like it is a very important point. 2 goals away, 1 goal away from pushing it to OT in Game 7. Like the cup was right there, it's hard to look at them as anything other than one of the most likely teams to win it this year. So
Yeah.
I think Edmonton's the better team right now than Dallas. But like Dallas's future is it. Even if they don't win next year, it's like, okay, whatever. They've got a window open for another 10 years.
Yeah.
Like Dallas is, especially with how young their guys are. And when you talk about young guys, like I'm talking about like, Root Behans, Jason Robertson, Heiskanen. You still got even the younger guys. You've got Thomas Harley, Wyatt Johnson, Stankoven. Like their window is so open for so long. Whereas Edmonton is like
Ottinger,
you've really kind of got this year and maybe next year. But again, your roster is gonna be much more depleted after Draisaitl kicks in. Whatever you give Bouchard, probably at least 10.5.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe even more if he
at least,
does better next year. Like
how this season goes and
if you're Edmonton, do you want Bouchard to like have a bit of a down year? Like you're gonna make the playoffs regardless, and if he goes nuts in the playoffs, fine. But like if he goes out there and he drops 85, 90 points potentially, especially that power play, you're sitting there like fuck. Like you're paying him.
I don't think so.
So much.
I think they want him to do as good as he can this year. Obviously, that's not going to help their cap situation, but like we said, this is the year. They want to be They don't want to be looking to make a trade for a guy who can help quarterback the power play.
Yeah.
Well,
partway through the year because he's not doing it. Like Like
I don't mean like a down year. I mean like again instead.
I guess
of like
a step back.
He's not going off.
The 85-ish points. It's like 65 or something.
Right.
And that's crazy that already we're kind of talking about like, down year for Bouchard is 65 points. But
what a bum.
Yeah.
That's kind of where we're at now, but
yeah. I imagine since it's so much they want to win this year, I imagine they just want to see the best out of their players all year, as much as it might suck in the future. But how much do guys like Stan Bowman look towards the future? So, but we'll get to the projected lineups here for the Edmonton Oilers. These are the daily face-off projected lineups, so that's what they have with them going into the season. First line, left side, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Right side, Zach Hyman, centered by Connor McDavid.
I mean,
You know exactly what you're getting from them.
Oh, yeah.
Which is crazy to say, considering that's like 50-odd goals by Zach Hyman, but that's just it.
Hey, you just need a guy to bounce the puck off of when you're Connor McDavid. So
yeah. And how many guys have they tried with McDavid since they brought him in?
Yeah,
and like
true.
how many have failed? It's like Zach Hyman worked. Like,
it worked out for them, and I mean, it's all you're looking for, really. You need a guy who's in the right spot at the right time. Just having him there and being able to tap as much as a tap the puck in. There's skill to it. You don't just stand there and it goes off you and in. But
that's the thing, right? Like there's not a single person out there that can. You go and ask any diehard Edmonton Oilers fans, like, how many goals did Zach Hyman have? And they're like, I don't know, what was it,
57, 56.
And then you sit there and be like, okay, tell me how he scored all their goals. Like, I don't fucking know. It doesn't matter how. It matters how many did he score. And people remember that, not how he did. So
they ask how many.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's very similar with Evan Bouchard. It's easy to say, like I could put up points if I quarterbacked Draisaitl and McDavid on the power play, but they tried it with Darnell Nurse. They've tried it with a couple of guys, and some of them have done well. None of them have done as good as Bouchard has in that situation. So it looks easy, but if you're the best guy who can do it that we've seen, that still has to carry a lot of weight. So and I mean, Nuge, like, this guy is so constantly overrated and underrated. I don't know if I've ever heard somebody have a take on him that feels right. Like, or you ask Oilers fans, it's like, he's a 100-point player. Of course, and he's like literally a 100-point player, but like, I don't know if he's that guy. But also a lot of people are like, on his own, if he's not playing with McDavid, he's scoring 50 points. And it's like, well, I think he puts up more than that.
Yeah.
I think a safe spot for him is 65 to 70 points.
Yeah.
Give or take. Yeah. He's kind of more of the two-way guy.
Yeah.
On that line, right? Like it's, Hyman's in front of the net, McDavid's bucking everywhere, wheeling and dealing. Yeah. But it's like Nuge, his kind of role is to kind of be more a little bit to help out the defenseman a bit more. And that's not a knock on him. I think he excels at it, and that's what he's good at, and that's why he gets a lot of the praise that he does, is he he still can put up solid numbers, but he does play a nice two-way game when he needs to. So
You got to have guys that are able to play on both sides where, they can finish when they need to. And, I mean, obviously we're going to be talking about him later, but Blake Coleman comes to mind for the Flames of, you got to have that guy who can play good defense, play on the PK, but still every once in a while puts some kind of highlight reel goal or even just puts in it. He's in the right spot at the right time. Now you need those guys, right?
yeah, exactly. So long story short, love that first line. That they should not even think about changing that first line.
Yeah, and a second line that looks a lot better than it did last season. Jeff Skinner on the left wing, Victor Arvidsson on the right wing, centered by Leon Draisaitl. We already talked a little bit about that, how that's really going to be a scoring powerhouse. Like, that's got to be one of the best scoring second lines in the entire league, right?
It's going to be up there. I just want to look it up here to double check.
Not a lot of second lines have guys the caliber of Draisaitl on them. So
yeah, when you're talking about putting, obviously when you see in Edmonton games when they do get down, they'll throw McDavid and Draisaitl out there together, and because they're the most talented guys in the team, try to get the goal.
Yeah.
Do that whole situation. But yeah, when you're running a good game and you can put someone like Draisaitl on the second line, yeah, you're kind of like. You're down easy street with, especially now with the guys he's got alongside him. It makes it a little easier for him. Doesn't have to maybe quarterback it as much as he needs to. Have the other guys there to help him out, support him more than last year.
yeah, Draisaitl's one of those like upper echelon elite players that I hesitate to say he's not like a line driver necessarily, but like.
Yeah.
He's not the guy that starts the play a lot of the time. He's like the ultimate like complementary piece.
Yeah.
Like, he kind of needs a guy almost like a Zach Hyman who can go in and like help possess the puck, create some space, and then he can like make whatever he wants happen from there.
Yeah.
And that just wasn't going to happen with the guys he was playing with last year. But
No. Yeah.
guys like Arvidsson and Skinner can absolutely do that.
Yeah.
Well, and Jeff Skinner's it should at least be a 35 goal guy with the Oilers. Probably more. Let's be real.
Yeah.
Arvidsson is the perfect, guy to add in there because he like, junkyard dog, right? Like he's just going for loose pucks. He's flying in there. He's not afraid to mix it up. The only thing I can really say bad about the second line is can Arvidsson stay healthy? There's been lots of injuries he's dealt with before. There is kind of some uncertainty to what level he's going to be able to play at, but. Like, even if he's 75% of what he was 2 years ago, playing with Draisaitl and Skinner, like, he's going to do just fine.
Yeah.
And, again, like, you're looking at Corey Perry on that side, and now it's Arvidsson. Like, that's so much better.
That's a massive upgrade.
Like, in every aspect. Maybe not fighting or, like, trash-talking or making weird faces. But, like,
He can't...
everything else Arvidsson exceeds at this point.
Well, Perry is a top tier trash talker. It's so good. They need more of that. They need more sandpaper in the mouth.
I'm curious to what their bottom six is looking like now, though, because like a lot of the guys mentioned that departed, a lot more bottom six guys. And,
Yeah.
It's looking pretty damn good from here.
By that face, I thought you were gonna be like, "Fuck, what a drop off." I was like, "No."
No, actually, I really expected more. But third line, Matthias Janmark on the left side, Connor Brown on the right, Adam Henrique centering them. Is that the same exact third line they had last year?
I believe so.
I know these guys. I'm pretty sure they played
their
together.
lines were kind of in a fucking blender at all times. Because Ryan McLeod was up on the second line at some point. Sometimes he was on the third.
These three guys were consistently out there at random points on the penalty kill at least, and that was one of the biggest things that really made me start cheering for Edmonton during that finals series. Every time the Panthers would get a power play, these guys were out there skating their freaking heart out. Like, they were going for it, and they got I think they got 2 shorthanded goals in the series. Like,
they might have had it was just 2.
But
they were both nice goals.
Yeah, and they were just flying out there, and like, they can obviously doing that score, but they were also just great defensively, and Like, they can really just do everything you want out of a third line. Like, they're not going to win you games more often than not, but they're not going to hurt you.
And this is like the perfect spot for Adam Henrique now at this point in his career, right?
Yeah.
Like, Anaheim was still trying to make him work as a first line center or second line. At this point, it's like that's just not where he's at now.
Yeah.
And especially now that he's got a good chance of winning a cup, like having him as your third line center is, especially on the penalty kill, like that's great to have.
Yeah. Yeah, he might have been he was my second most wanted free agent for Tampa to sign when July 1st came around.
Yeah.
So, like,
I think there was a lot of teams
I was really hoping.
But he took a discount to go back to Edmonton.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like he was for sure gone. But then it was like, he came back on a cheaper deal than what other teams were offering. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, when you're that close, right?
I guess, yeah. Like you said, winning power of you go to Game 7, maybe they get swept, maybe he doesn't come back.
Yeah.
And they lose that third line guy. Now they have to find someone else to fill that hole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, so he's 34 years old, $3 million for the next 2 years. So, like, it's still a decent payday. Like, he took a bit of a discount, but like he's still getting some money there. So luckily he's not hurting to take this discount at least.
Yeah.
Their fourth line as well. Vasily Podkolzin on the left side, Corey Perry on the right, and Derek Ryan in the center.
That's...
For a lot of other teams, I would assume that'd be the third line. Like it's not...
Podkolzin's an unknown still, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously drafted in a high position with the Canucks, but really hasn't figured it out at the NHL level yet. So it could work out really well. It could not. Again, there's lots of guys we've talked about, though. Throughout all these other teams, there's a lot of unknowns with certain players. And I'm throwing him in that category, but like Derek Ryan's still solid to have.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Corey Perry, you know what you're getting out of him.
Yeah.
Plays good enough defense, finds his way into goals more often than he probably should, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
He's a locker room leader.
Anything, I was going to say good leader. Like,
good guy to have around.
He's a shit disturber on the ice, but maybe don't go ask Chicago, but you go and ask any other team he's played on, like you're going to hear just great things about who he was off the ice and what a leader he was, so.
Yeah, and all of that, not even including Evander Kane, who is currently injured. So once he comes back, he'll assumedly slot in somewhere. Maybe if Podkolzin isn't working out, like Evander Kane took a bit of a step back. I wouldn't be surprised if the rest of the lines are working, just slot him in on the fourth.
I don't think they have the cap space to activate him.
Well, maybe not.
I think once you activate him, I think they'd be over the salary cap.
I think they would, yeah.
So you'd have to work something out. Because they knew he was going to be out long term. Yeah. That's why they were able to go out and use all this money, because you knew he was at least gone for, 6 months or so.
Yeah.
The rumor is potentially around January, but who knows at this point.
If he comes back in January, is it a case of they're now over the cap and have to do something, or can they simply not activate him because they're like, sorry, we don't have the cap space?
Well, I mean, if he's healthy to play and he says, I want to play, it's like, you got to figure something out then, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, they are forced to activate him and then make that room?
Yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, at least. And even if that wasn't the case, a guy like Evander Kane, you got to imagine he's going to make a stink about on social media then.
Yeah.
Being I'm healthy, I'm ready to play.
Yeah.
Oilers won't let me, and it's like...
Well,
it wouldn't be the first drama we've seen with him, so...
And you know what? He's the one who... Edmonton's the one who wanted to trade him, right? So,
and he wanted to stay.
Yeah. So, you know what? If he wants to play that bad, might have to get moved when he comes back if there's no room.
Yeah.
Moving on to the defense, though. Matthias Ekholm on the left and Evan Bouchard on the right. I mean, that's...
So good.
That's a solid top line, yeah.
So good. So good enough that they played against Calgary's AHL team in the preseason. They logged 28 minutes. That's how good they are.
Well, if that's what you're basing it off
I can't believe they played them that much in a preseason game.
I didn't realize. Yeah, I didn't.
Absurd.
I didn't watch that game. I watched the Calgary game, the one here, and yeah, I didn't realize they played them that much. But that is kind of insane.
And they still lost.
Yeah. I mean, that's the sad part. That's a little rough for them. But hey, I mean,
A defense pair that we kind of forgot last episode, talking about Colorado and Chicago.
Just before the second one, I just want to say how underrated I think Ekholm still is.
Oh, very underrated.
I think he's still super underrated.
Yeah, he is so good on both ends of the ice. He's one of those guys that's like the definition of a two-way defenseman.
You never saw the offensive stuff he's doing with the Oilers. You never really saw that with Nashville as much though.
No,
Yeah.
It's like now that he's in Edmonton with their system running, and maybe it's just the confidence because you're getting to play with fucking McDavid and Draisaitl and whatnot.
Yeah,
but it's like it just seems like his offensive game has hit another level while he's still playing just the great defensive game that he did with Nashville. So
yeah.
Does something like that change because, you have someone like Roman Yossi and then maybe the guys behind the scenes are kind of going, yeah, maybe don't go out there and kind of try too much crazy, like that's Yossi's job, you're just, be the stay-at-home guy kind of thing?
I kind of think so. Like, they have a history of having a lot of pretty solid either two-way or more so defensive defensemen in Nashville. Because Roman Yossi, like, him alone, he provides all the offense you need from an entire defensive core.
Yeah.
But there was a time when it was Nashville's, and this is gross to think about, but it's like Nashville's top four at one point was Roman Yossi, Shea Weber, and then Ekholm and Ryan Ellis. And it's like, so what is Ekholm going to do? And it's like, Shea Weber's doing his thing. Ryan Ellis, offensive defense, Roman Yossi, great two-way guy. And then even then, Shea Weber comes out. Then PK Subban comes in.
Yeah.
Who's even more of an offensive defenseman. So
yeah,
he never really had a chance to kind of break out and be like, yeah, look at me. Because it's like his role was just stay home and let your partner do their thing. And it worked out well, but he's getting the chance to show what he's got with the Oilers. And
yeah, that's
great.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah.
And we're on our last episode mentioning how we were trying to think of a top pair of defensemen that could really, if there's anyone that could really compete for best D pair in the league with Makar and Taves, and Ekholm and Bouchard might be one of the only ones that could. I don't know if they are better.
It doesn't reach him yet. Like, I would take Ekholm over Taves.
Yeah, I would agree.
But again, in my opinion, Makar's is
yeah,
just he's so clear over Bouchard still right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's so clear over like basically anybody.
Pretty much anybody.
There's like 3 or 4 guys that you can argue he's only slightly above, but that's about as close as the argument gets.
Yeah. But Ekholm, I would take him over Taves.
Yeah. Which is funny we're saying this considering, how so much of the narrative a little bit is that, Edmonton doesn't have the good defense.
Yeah.
And, we're getting to it. So
we're getting there.
Their projected second pair on the blue line, Darnell Nurse and Ty Emberson.
Not gonna lie,
I only know one of them.
I was gonna say, I looked
and
at
one of
one
them's Nurse.
and,
So funny story. So I watched Ty Emberson a lot last year. He came over in the Cody Ceci trade from San Jose.
Oh,
and my buddy's an Oilers fan, and he was immediately like talking about the trade, being like, "Oh, fucking Sharks got fleeced. Like they're taking on Cody Ceci." I'm like, "Yeah, and you guys got a shit AHL defense." I was making that up because I was not happy with the Cody Ceci trade. So, Ty Emberson, he started last year with the Rangers. He got put on waivers at the end of training camp. San Jose picked him up. He has a hard time staying healthy. They wanted to play him like all year long because he was so good defensively. He only played 30 games on a bad Sharks team. 1 goal, 9 assists for 10 points. He was only a -4 in 30 games on a bad Sharks
with the
team.
Sharks.
Yeah, that's
so. And again, like the offensive numbers were just kind of an extra bonus. It was like, oh shit, he's putting up points, but he's relatively a defensive defense, like a stay-at-home guy. Like he's gonna be good for Edmonton, I think.
I was gonna say if he's a stay-at-home guy, that's kind of what we're talking about. The narrative being bad defensively.
Like the fact that
let Darnell Nurse go in and be that dynamo he can be in the offensive zone.
Like the fact San Jose took on Cody Ceci's contract from Edmonton, and Edmonton got the better player, and above all else, you finally split up Nurse and Ceci. Like that was a problem.
Yeah.
That was great for Edmonton. I think Ty Emberson is gonna have a nice year.
Does Draisaitl like him though? I don't know if they're best friends.
Hey,
that remains to be seen.
Give
but
them time. They can be
Let them
buddies by
cook.
the end of the season. Yeah, they'll cook.
But I think that's nice putting him with Nurse because
Nurse might fall down or something.
you got to put a solid defensive with Nurse and then just tell Nurse, you know what, just go up in the offense and maybe just stay out of your own end.
Dude,
Don't cross our blue line anymore.
Yeah.
Don't worry about playing defense.
You know what? Whenever this defense pair is out there, go the 1-3-1. Go old school. Put Nurse up there where a forward goes and have Emberson hang out in the freaking neutral zone while you're making plays. And you know what? They're not going to get a breakaway because we got some jackass standing at center ice. But so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's probably more effective than just having them be a regular defensive pair. So
Honestly, it might work in their favor.
I could be wrong about Emberson. He could come out and completely flop, and if he does, he will get run out of Edmonton.
Yeah.
But I do think he's going to be solid for them.
Huh.
I'm still very high on him. Again, another thing is, can he stay healthy? And
Yeah.
he's young though. I think he's only 23, so
Okay.
he'll be fine.
And then for the third defensive pairing, we got Brett Kulak and Josh Brown.
Fuck. I don't love that.
I thought
I thought that was going to be a bit better.
I thought Josh Brown was a forward.
I don't love that.
No.
Like Kulak's
fine.
solid.
Yeah, he's
you can get away with it. I think he kind of gets.
Bottom pairing minutes is fine for him.
I think he kind of gets drugged through the mud a little bit more than he should. Because I don't think he's that bad, but especially the fact that like Josh Brown, again, that was a guy we talked about. They're signing. He signed a 3-year deal. Like they're committing to him, be like, hey, yeah, you're joining here.
You're our guy.
It is
like,
$1
could you
mil
not?
per year, so they could.
You could have
probably
got
move off
anyone
of it.
else and gave him that contract though. They did sign Troy Stetcher though. He is in the mix, I guess.
Oh,
just
yeah.
not included, but
Yeah,
again,
it's
like
just not projected.
Yeah.
I mean, Troy Stetcher's bounced from team to team. Like, you know, he can't find a home anywhere. So
Yeah, he spent a small stint in Calgary, and I mean, yeah, he was okay. I mean,
he looked good with Calgary.
Yeah,
I thought,
he
actually.
was- yeah.
I think that's where he looked the best I've thought so far in his career.
A lot
Admittedly,
of
it's only for a few games.
yeah, he wasn't there a ton, but yeah.
A lot of defensemen's best times are in Calgary. It feels like they have very consistently had a lot of good defensemen. Like, you know, maybe, you know, not since Gio do they quite have like a Norris guy, but like you know, their third defensive pair is often relatively close to other teams' second pairing. Like they have a lot of NHL caliber defensemen.
Uyghur's like a
I was
Norris
like-
guy though.
I was just going to follow it up
Yeah,
though.
I was-
Uyghur. I think I was just saying it on one of the recent episodes too. That like he's a guy that really could break out into that spot.
Like, is he gonna win a Norris now? No, just because you're gonna have guys like Cale Makar and
Yeah.
Bouchard and Hughes. Like, they're gonna be sniffing near 100 points. But like, you look back at when Gio won, like 78 games played, 17 goals, 74 points. Like, that's, you know, and that's only going back, you know, 5-6 years ago. Like, that's what was winning the Norris.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, I mean, you know, it might be a little bit more tougher given Calgary's situation, but like Uyghur can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have for goals last year? Did
I think he
did
hit 20.
I think
I
he did
had
hit
a
20.
career year last year, yeah.
I think he actually did hit 20, yeah.
I remember going to the game when Tampa came up, and it was in early to mid December in the Dome. And I remember he scored a goal that game, and they announced it was like his 11th of the season. And I was like, we're not even at Christmas. You're a defenseman.
Yeah,
he was like I remember searching it, and he was like third on the team in goals at that point.
Yeah, he was.
I was like, we're almost halfway through the season, dude.
He was
And-
cooking for a while.
I can't remember the exact thing he adjusted, but I remember he credited his rise in goal scoring to our boy Chris Sutter.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what
Sutter time.
It might have been the curve or something, but I remember Chris Sutter told him something.
Oh,
he
yeah.
tried it out, and then he was like, "It's been working ever since."
yeah,
Like,
I do
He
vaguely-
figured it out for me, so, which I thought was really cool. That, you know, even though Daryl Sutter has been gone, that Chris Sutter's still been kind of active with the
Around,
team and
yeah.
still providing insight for the players. So
It's always Chris Sutter time somewhere.
always.
Man, even Daryl's not there anymore. Just have Chris Sutter time, man.
They got to bring it back.
Oh yeah, that was the best.
It was so good,
The
dude.
crowd got so hyped for it. Also, yeah, it was 20 goals, 32 assists for Uyghur last year. So 52.
Especially his
points.
career high in goals before that was 8
Yeah.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
in,
no,
in 80 games. Like, so
Yeah.
like you increased it by 12 in 1 year.
He passed his
Not a lot of defense
best
with 20.
for like you said, what is like December? It was like 11 goals. He
Yeah.
had just blown his best goals out of the water before the season was even close to over.
And he only had 32 assists, but like it's because not a whole lot of guys could finish.
Yeah.
Like he made so many good plays, and it's like, if it was Kadri in that spot there or Zari that ends up with the puck, he's getting an assist there. But
Yeah.
it's going to Huberdeau, and he's toe picking and following.
Yeah. They have a lot of good.
shoving it to the side.
Yeah.
and whatever. But
They really do have like all the types of players that they need in Calgary, except for the scorers. Like they got so many playmakers.
Yeah.
They got a lot of two-way guys. They got a lot of grinders and power forwards. They just they need somebody who can just sit there and bury it. And unfortunately, Monge wasn't that guy. But
He was not.
but
just for 1 year.
He
yeah,
was for 1 year.
He had the 1 year.
He had to
we'll
one
always have that year.
year.
But we'll talk plenty more about them once we're done with the Oilers here, because we do have the goalies still.
Oh yes.
We got Olympic Team Canada starter Stuart Skinner.
Shut up with that. We're not going down that road again. We're not going down that road. He'll be one of the goalies, but starter, I don't know.
They're gonna put Fleury in a wheelchair, and he's gonna go out there and he's gonna do a windmill,
Just tie him to the post, man.
millhouse,
Work.
and
Work.
and backup Calvin Pickard. Of course, they also have what is it? Campbell. They got Campbell in. No, they don't have Campbell.
They finally
bought
had
him
to
out.
buy him
Yeah,
out.
they bought him out. Yeah.
They had to. I mean, there was no coming back from the season here.
Oh yeah, in the beginning of that signing, I remember being like laughing at Oilers fans thinking they were saved by Jack Campbell, and then I saw him fail in the season and was like, yeah, just what I thought. But then I felt bad for the poor guy after he was really just sent down to the AHL. No one wanted him. He just continued to do bad even down in the AHL, and it was like,
Yeah.
this poor guy doesn't deserve that.
I was right there with you. I was just loving it, seeing how miserable Oilers fans were. I was like, I
Yeah.
told you it was not a good contract. Like
Yeah.
he was not your savior.
Oh no.
But then I'm looking at him just get just shelled in the AHL. I'm like, fuck,
And-
man.
and-
no one deserves
Yeah,
this.
no.
And Campbell's one, like, if you've ever seen any off-ice stuff from him,
He's a
Jack
good
Campbell
dude.
is one of the most likable dudes in the NHL.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, not
Toronto
only is he,
loved him.
yeah, not
And
only is he a nice
that
guy,
says a
but
lot. If you're a goalie in Toronto
Yeah.
and they love you, you should probably fucking keep the guy.
what was the last goalie that like they liked all the way through? Even Freddie Anderson kind of got ran out of town.
Freddie Anderson got
Frick.
dogged on near the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably going back to a guy in
James
black and white.
Reimer, maybe.
Like,
people hated him, but like at the same time, everybody was like,
Johnny
I still
Bauer.
love him.
like
Hey, you gotta go far back in the
But
Vesa
history books.
Toskala.
for Skinner and Pickard, I like it. I mean, Skinner showed like he can win you a cup. Like he's probably not gonna actively steal you games.
Yeah,
But you can win a cup with him, and so
Yep.
that's all you need.
like that's a huge step from where you were last year, being like, can our goalies get it done? Yeah. Like it can work.
Yeah.
So I'd maybe like to see a upgrade somehow from Pickard. I'm not crazy about him there, but Skinner, yeah, they're fine with him.
Yeah. Yeah, unless you're getting like, I don't think they're at a point where they would trade for a goalie, a starting goalie,
No.
unless like there were to be like a truly elite goalie on the table. Like,
Well, they tried to work out something for Saros prior to his like when he signed that extension with Nashville.
Yeah.
yeah, like I think it would take something like Ullmark being like, I will not re-sign in Ottawa, or I doubt they do it, but
cap wise,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of having Skinner right now is you know, you don't have to pay much right now on a new deal. You're not going to have to pay much more, especially with how much is going Draisaitl's way and Bouchard.
Yeah. They're kind of, like we said near the beginning, they're kind of handcuffed in the situation of cap where they can't really upgrade anybody because they can't afford to. They don't have the cap space for it.
And especially with the cap going up, all that money's going to Draisaitl's new deal, Bouchard's, and eventually McDavid's.
Yeah, like, they don't have the space. Maybe they pull some first-round trades or, like, trade their first rounds for someone, but...
I think you got to get rid of Nurse's contract eventually.
I was just gonna say that,
but
find
like a way to move
nobody's gonna take that.
No.
Even the most rebuilding of rebuildingest teams, like even if Washington was like, we don't care about the playoffs anymore, we are solely going for Gretzky's goal record with Ovi, and then it's full rebuild, tear it down.
Yeah.
Even them, they're looking to be competitive by the time this thing's up. Like it's got.
Is it 5 or 6 years left?
It goes till at least 2030. It might go longer. Cap Wages doesn't show past 2030.
If you click on his name, it should.
Oh, yeah.
You should be able to pull up his whole.
It should say
how
how
many
many years are left on the contract.
Yeah, it goes. It does end after the 2030 season.
So 6 more years of this.
Matt, we've been talking about this for so long. Has it only been around for a couple of years?
Because it was already the worst deal before it actually kicked in. It was the worst deal in the league when he signed the extension off one playoff game when he logged, I think it was like 59, 60 minutes or something. Like, it was nuts.
Jeez.
In that triple overtime, but...
You know who else did that? You know who else cashed in on that? We talked about him recently. Seth Jones.
Oh, yeah.
He logged 65 minutes against Tampa Bay in Game 1
with
the 5 overtime game.
Yeah, that was with the Jackets, right?
Yeah,
because he was traded later that year.
Yeah,
too.
after in the offseason he was traded and then immediately extended in Chicago.
Did they sign their contracts near the same time, Nurse and Jones?
It's got to be like within a season.
I was gonna say because I remember that people being like, "Oh, Seth Jones' contract is like terrible," and then Nurse was like either in the same breath or very close to like this guy's contract's up there now for in contention with bad contracts for defensemen.
Yeah, because Seth Jones I think is making 9.5, Nurse is 9.25, I believe.
Yeah.
So he had, because obviously he couldn't ask for more than Seth Jones.
Yeah.
Seth Jones
at the time.
Also, who signed Seth Jones' extension? Stan Bowman.
He loves his defenseman.
Yeah, he signed it in July 2021, and August 6th, 2021 was the big extension for Darnell Nurse. So yeah, like a month or two apart.
So it was the same year.
I do feel bad for Edmonton a little bit though, because like they're trying to do everything right to like win now and contend and build this team, but they're still fucking haunted by Peter Chiarelli.
Yeah,
like you like with the Nurse thing and the Jack Campbell, like it's like fuck, just he won't go away. He ruined that team on the way out, and they're still trying to recover from it, but still a cup favorite this year.
It really is crazy because they have made some good moves, but there have been a lot of abhorrently bad moves made by like the last 3 GMs they've had. Like Ken Holland had some real bad moves as well. Chiarelli was even worse. But they've just hit on some players that are so important. Like the hits they've had have been so impactful. Like Zach Hyman, we knew that was going to be probably a pretty good signing. Yeah. We didn't know he was putting up 55 plus goals.
50 plus goals. Yeah.
Like we didn't expect that.
Yeah.
So, well, and the thing is, he wouldn't do that with Toronto. Like, I see people being like, oh, again, Toronto, that's a superstar. It's like, Zach Hyman on Toronto, he's going to be 15 to 20 goals, 20 to 25 assists. Like,
yeah. He's not that guy in Toronto. Yeah. It was weird when people were saying that a lot, like, probably a lot of Toronto fans, but there are people saying, oh, yeah, why couldn't he do that on Toronto? That's not the guy he was there.
He wasn't playing with McDavid.
He's not playing with McDavid. And, maybe, I don't know, maybe he does it with Austin Matthews, but
Matthews is the finisher.
He's a different
You'd have to put him with Marner and Tavares or something to do that. Like, have it be like 2 other guys who are trying to get him the puck as much as McDavid could. Yeah. Like, if in that case, maybe he gets to 40 something, but then also you're neither of those guys get to play with Matthews, and you
Yeah.
can have Matthews, Nylander, and
Yeah.
friggin' whoever, Bobby McMahon, I guess.
Well, yeah. Why elevate Hyman when you can have Austin Matthews be your guy? You're not making Marner, or sorry. Oh my God.
Yeah.
You're not making him your guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So overall, like, I think Edmonton's fine. Obviously, we've highlighted areas they can work on. But yeah, they're still one of the top teams going into this season. Hopefully they get off to a better start than last year and they don't start off as bad as they were.
It's funny because I do remember it was around that Thanksgiving time. We had an episode last year where we were talking about it, and I don't think you were fully out on them, but you were kind of like, I don't know, they look bad. I don't know if they could come back. And that was the sentiment because they were like 31st in the league. They were almost tied with the Sharks, and then they lost to the Sharks.
Yeah, they lost to the 1-10-1 San Jose Sharks at one.
Yeah, like they
were
looked
down
horrible.
there, man. Yeah.
And I remember saying, like, I want to count this team out, but they have Connor McDavid. They could go on a massive winning streak at any point, and it was within a couple of weeks where all of a sudden they were starting to put up, what was it? Did they go 16-0? Like, something like that? 16, 15, 17? Like...
Yeah,
they
they were
went
close
big.
to setting the record.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I believe
yeah.
the record is 17 or 18.
With Pittsburgh. So I think they got to 16.
Yeah, like, that's going to help any team get back into it.
Oh,
And they were
yeah.
still, like, wild card 2 after that. Like, they were in a
Well, yeah,
hole.
I mean, you're crawling your way back from the very bottom. You win that many games and you finally get back into contention, and then you play 500 or better. I mean, they played better, but...
Yeah. But as far as the Edmonton Oilers goes, we'll wrap them up. We've got 2 questions here to ask. The first one, are the Edmonton Oilers a playoff team?
No.
I mean, for me,
Yeah.
like they're... Like, if they miss the playoffs, I would be okay with it just because, like, the chaos would be out of this world. But yeah, if they're... Especially in the Pacific
Yeah.
Division.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be so bad.
If they miss in the Pacific, like, the Flames fan in me
Who'd
goes
they trade their
absolutely,
first to?
but...
Philly.
Philly,
Oh, jeez.
Philly getting a lottery pick from the Oilers for maximum chaos.
I'm here for it.
I wouldn't be there.
That's just a Flames fan in me, but, I'm here for it.
Yeah, we don't need more high-skilled players in the frickin' East.
I'm glad my team's not in the East. That's all I
The
got.
Atlantic sucks.
Yeah, that's a nuts division.
Yeah, I can't wait for the Canadians to be the worst team in the division with fucking 87 points.
Why?
And the other final question, who do you guys see on this team winning an individual award next year?
One player, one award. Cody, I'll throw it to you if you got... I'll give you first pick on...
The first pick?
Because, like, with some teams, we always do, if there's, like, like when you're doing a shit team and it's like, okay, there's literally only one pick.
Yeah,
But with
yeah.
this, there's lots, so I'll give you...
First pick? Quite generous. I mean, I'll probably just go with the easiest one. I mean, McDavid's probably a shoo-in to win some sort of individual award of some sort, but there's a couple wild card picks that come to mind, but we'll leave that on the table. So
yeah, like with McDavid, you could, like, there's... Like, he could literally win anything, though. Maybe not Selke, but... Like,
I'd say
the
probably
Hart,
not.
Art Ross, Rock Richard.
yeah, there's 3 trophies that he could definitely take home easily without even trying.
Potentially could just
And
straight up take all
He
3.
could take all 3.
Yeah.
Braden?
Ooh, well, there's a couple of them. It's really hard not to just say McDavid because no duh, but let's go very slightly off the board. I'm gonna say Zach Hyman for the Rocket.
Whoa.
He just,
That would be nuts if he did.
dude. Remember how much people lost their fucking minds when Ovechkin hit 60 goals and then Stamkos hit 60 goals? This dude just put up like 56, 57. Like,
No, was talking about, though, because Matthews was at 69. Like, Matthews
Exactly.
was on 70 watch.
like
Everybody was like,
scoring,
fuck 60.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like scoring's definitely going up. I think Pasternak's hit 60 at least once, maybe twice, but like,
He had it once, yeah.
but like, it's a much more achievable goal. And like, if Matthews slows down, if maybe he gets a couple more assists and more points,
Yeah.
if he gets a hand injury for even 10 games, like, there's a world, like, Zach Hyman was great at what he did last year, but he wasn't exactly an elite player on his own. If he can like elevate his game a bit and still just be around McDavid, like he could put up some insane numbers.
Yeah, you know what? Fair enough.
Especially with how better this team's got and how I think Edmonton's sick power play is going to get better.
Yeah, he only looked better in the playoffs too. His goal scoring like increased in the playoffs somehow.
Yeah.
Like he was within 2 or 3 goals of the most goals in a playoff run all time.
Oh yeah.
And obviously that helps again because McDavid was only behind Lemieux and Gretzky for most points in a playoff run, most assists all time in a playoff run.
Disgusting.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's going to be in that position again. So
yeah. This one's not really off the board, but again, like this guy doesn't play great defense. I'll keep saying that. But the Norris isn't about playing defense. It's just about who scores the most points basically out of defensemen. So I will go Evan Bouchard wins the Norris.
I thought you were talking about Draisaitl.
I think Evan Bouchard will win the Norris, and then he's going to sign, and it's going to be just a stupid number.
I say if he wins the Norris, he's already asking for what, like 12 or something.
The reports are it's somewhere around 10.5 right now in the initial talks.
Okay.
But like again, like if he goes out there and puts up the same or even a little bit better than he did last season, it's going to go way up because of that consistency now.
Yeah, either consistency or improvement.
And if he wins the Norris,
dude's getting 12 and a half.
He could win the Norris straight up alone off his 70 potential power play points.
Yeah.
That he gets. That power play is going to go nuts for him.
Yeah. And you know what? There's a lot of people, power play merchant. Well, then if it's so easy, why don't the guy on your team do it and win the Norris, right? Like, points are points.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's all we have on the Edmonton Oilers.
That's it, eh?
That is it. That is our short little talk about the Oilers.
All right.
But moving on, we got the Calgary Flames to talk about now.
The home team.
The home team. Oh, where do we want to start with these guys?
Yeah, I'll quickly give us the breakdown of the Flames and where we're at with them. So the Calgary Flames finished last season with a record of 38 wins, 39 losses, 5 overtime shootout losses, 81 points. 5th in the Pacific. The over-under on their points projected for the year, 94.5. So quite a bit on the under. I mean, right in the middle of the pack last year. They weren't really necessarily up there fighting for wild card playoff spot, but they also weren't, down there with those basement teams at the bottom. And interesting offseason, I would say, for them.
Yeah.
They've definitely made a few moves. We'll start off with just highlighting the additions that the Flames have brought in. Not many, but some that can definitely be impactful for them. Anthony Mantha signing a 1-year deal, so he's going to be a good add probably to your top 6. Potentially could get flipped down the road.
Yeah.
Sharon Govich, 5-year deal. Ryan Lobberg coming back on a 2-year deal. Jake Bean coming back home to Calgary on a 2-year deal. Devin Cooley signing a 2-year deal. And then Dustin Wolf signing a 2-year extension. Re-signing.
Yeah.
Yes, he's now assuming to be the guy. Jared Tenorti, guy we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
1-year deal. And Jacob Pelletier re-signing on a 1-year deal to stick around.
Yeah, and they also got Tyson Barrie currently on a PTO.
Tyson Barrie, yes.
Any team can sign him until he's got a contract, PTOs are not contractually obligated, so...
Yeah.
But it does sound like they're gearing up to offer him a contract, but we'll see if they do that.
I mean, you might as well, right?
I mean, we have a ton of cap space.
Yeah, is it going to hurt in any way?
The only thing that I've heard some people say is that, I mean, there's maybe other guys defensively that they want to play to see how they fit. And I can see that, but I mean, it doesn't hurt you to sign him, and even if he sits in the press box and is there to fill a spot every once in a while.
Yeah. If he wants to make a couple $100,000 and still play hockey, that still sounds like a pretty sweet gig if he wants to do it in the AHL.
Yeah. Send him down.
Quarterback a power play down there, put up some crazy points.
Yeah.
Get brought up play some games, he can probably still go somewhere at the deadline. Like,
Yeah.
he's definitely a guy who still has enough talent that he shouldn't just go unsigned this season.
Yeah.
And then quickly, just the subtractions from the team. Andrew Mangiapane going off to Washington. AJ Greer, his short stint has come to an end. He's off to Florida. Oliver Shillington, we talked about in the last episode, going to Colorado. And then, really the big one, Jacob Markstrom on his way to New Jersey. But you did get Kevin Ball back in a first, so...
Yeah.
I don't think Kevin Ball's played in the preseason, though. I haven't seen anything of him.
Yeah, I haven't seen. I've watched a handful of games so far, and I haven't seen or heard anything about Kevin Ball, so
I'm curious to see when he finally suits up and how he looks, because I think he could be a nice addition on the blue line.
Yeah.
And it's also nice, again, now you're going into the season. You've already got 2 firsts. Potentially, you can add another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, they definitely have some guys that they might move. There's it's a team that very clearly is heading into a rebuild or heading towards one, and they've got a lot more NHL players, like good NHL players, than most teams headed that direction.
Yeah.
They just kind of can see the writing on the wall that they need to in the future. So
there's just going to be an accelerated rebuild, I feel like, though.
It's gonna,
because
I think it's gonna be like
gotten
St.
ahead of the curve with, some of the higher end prospects they already have, and then the fact that just even this last draft alone, you got Zane Perrick. He's going to be a number 1 stud defenseman.
Yeah.
You got Matt Vigrin, who is breaking records in the USHL.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna be a great piece, and then you get Andrew Basha, who a lot of scouts had him going around 20th to 25 overall.
Yeah.
You get him earlier on the second round, like.
I was
3 nice ads there.
Yeah.
I was so mad when they didn't take him in the first. I was so mad when they didn't take him in the first,
They
and
must have
somehow
known he was
somehow
dropping.
he fell even further to them in the second.
Like the fact that, because realistically, he probably should have been picked before Calgary's, like, later of their 2 first rounders.
Yeah.
And the fact that he wasn't, I think they kind of realized, like, okay, yeah, he's falling. We can easily just snag him up with a second rounder tomorrow. So
Yeah.
and then they've, like, I don't know what their pick situation is looking like. I know they have the 2 first, but
Yeah, they have a really good situation with their draft picks. The only bad thing is they don't have their own first rounder for this year.
no, they do.
Do they?
Because that's the one from the Sean Monahan deal. So assume, like, there's no world where Florida's worse than Calgary.
Oh, so it
So
turns into that
Florida's
one?
pick will go to Montreal.
Oh,
Yeah.
well then actually it's much better because then they have their own, assumedly, their own first round pick, assuming that Florida's will go to Montreal, and then they have New Jersey's first. They got their own second plus the Avalanche second, and next year they have the Vegas Golden Knights first round pick.
So, like, you're already in a position where you just drafted 3 great players in this past draft. They actually got some greater guys like Henry Muse later on in the draft, who I think is going to be arguably the biggest steal of the draft. But and then like you're looking at it, the 2 firsts this year, the 2 firsts already next year.
Yeah.
That Vegas first, like we've talked about, unprotected.
And
So if Vegas starts to fall off the wagon this year, and they even get worse next year.
they just let a Conn Smythe winner walk. They were in Wild Card 2 last year, and they let a Conn Smythe winner in the last 2 years walk in free agency.
Yeah, they're kind of
Like, I wouldn't put money on it, but I wouldn't be shocked.
I'm not putting money on Vegas to make the playoffs. I'm not putting money to be like, oh, they're gonna miss, but I'm not putting on it for them to make either.
Yeah.
Like they're right in between. It could go either way. So, I like where Calgary's at now, though. Like, they've gotten ahead of the curve, and they're already stocked up in. I don't know who else they're gonna move. I've heard Anderson maybe, but
There's a lot of talks, and I mean, there's always a lot of talks with teams that are looking at rebuilds. I mean, for the longest time, I'm glad that they've somehow convinced the ownership to go into this actual rebuild, because that word was like banned for whatever reason.
Have they kind of like publicly said it yet?
No, I think
they've
part of
gaslit
it.
them.
I think they've kind of like circumvented it by being like, "Hey, we're just retooling, and this is what retooling looks like now."
Draft picks make you good.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, like gaslighting maybe is a thing, but they've definitely done some kind of trickery or something's going on, and I mean, like Craig Conroy's he's cooking, and he's
very much so.
Yeah.
And like even like I've been kind of dealing with San Jose's like just their rebuild and
Dealing with it.
It's been so long like since they've been a good team, but it was like they were at the end of the Doug Wilson era, and it was like we're just retooling, we're micromanaging, we're gonna be back. Doug Wilson steps away due to other issues and whatnot, like never was technically fired. And then Mike Greer comes in immediately, rebuild. And then like it was a long 2 years for Sharks fan, because it was like everyone was getting traded. Like any long time players, any guys that meant some of the fans was like, sorry, but we're here to make the team better. We're just ripping the Band-Aid off. And
that felt so bad too, because that's right when that was in Tampa's prime, and like I was having such a good old time, and I was like, dude, they're just like dismantling his team over there. That's fucking brutal.
But like now you're at the point now that like on the other side it's like, oh, the grass is so much greener over here. But it's like it was a tough process, like especially kind of what Calgary's going through. Like I know lots of Flames fans were upset to see Markstrom go, to see Monge go, but it was like it's part of the process. It sucks, but
I think what probably, and maybe just me, but I know there's other people probably as well, but part of the process that helps, I think, is you got our situation with Gaudreau and Tkachuk. That kind of
does it get darker than that? Like
you lose some guys like that. Obviously, Johnny Gaudreau walks, and then Tkachuk's like, I want out of here. Here's my list, and you're handed that, and it looks a little bleak. Lindholm sticks around, and then we moved him, which I think was tough for a lot of people. It was good to. He's a great player, and it's sad to lose him. But like I said,
does that return look nice?
Now the return, like
crit him with the first. You've got Brustevich, who is looking like he's going to be some. And you got Kuzmenko that you're, I think most likely flip. But then you're like if you retain half, you might get another first for him. If he's producing the way he did.
I was gonna say you better That's a bona fide 30-goal guy. If you retain half, he's under $3 million now. That's real.
Like if you're
nice
getting
for
2 first-round picks and a top 4 defenseman, potentially top pair almost. I don't want to go that high yet, but like for Elias Lindholm,
yeah. I don't know if he plays top line minutes just because they'll already have Perek, and I think
Brustevich is, I believe, is he right-handed? I thought he was left.
I'm not sure. I was thinking more like scheme fit, because he's kind of an offensive guy, right? He's not as much.
Yeah, you are right there, actually.
But you know what? If you can have a Makar Taves type deal where they're both just throwing if you're always playing in their end, then you don't have to worry about defense.
It's a very good point.
Underrated strategy: be in their zone forever.
It's been a while since Calgary. I'll say a while. Not that I can remember that Calgary's ever played that kind of style of hockey, but I'm kind of here for it. Calgary's played such a defensive style of hockey, boring hockey for so long, that it's like, I'm here for some high skill guys.
It's not that high flying game, but it's never really been boring. Like it's never been like prime shutdown Devils or Islanders or Kings or anything like that. Like I think it's because a lot of it is because they've always had a lot of guys who will mix it up. So even when the games are slower and more defensive, there's still a lot of hits, a lot of fights. Like there's a lot of exciting things happening outside of scoring. But they've always still had guys like, Kadri can still score highlight reel goals whenever, for the longest time. Obviously they had Iginla doing... he is like the prototypical hockey player. He can do anything to do with hockey. But they've really kept that identity for like as long as I've watched hockey.
No, they've definitely had as much as I guess recently now, star players are in question of like who's our next star kind of thing, and who's going to be that next big guy. We've had a lot of people that are the top 6 guys. There maybe a couple like elites, but franchise guys. Like where does that stand for Calgary? And maybe someone steps up.
Where's the next Jerome Iginla type guy? Who's that guy who's guy? Like, this guy could be challenging for individual awards on a yearly basis.
I've said I still think you have it on defense with Perek. You are looking for the forward. The one thing I will say was really nice for Calgary last season, especially when things were kind of looking the way they were. the fact you guys that the Flames had guys like Zari and Pospisil just come up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like
Oh, yeah.
Zari was a former first round pick, but it was like you're kind of waiting like when is he gonna do something?
Yeah.
And then him and Pospisil come on and make like such a huge impact.
Yeah.
It's like, man, that looks. And then even the Toffoli trade, it was like it didn't look great for Calgary, but
Yeah.
seeing what Sharangovich has been doing, it's like.
A lot
it's
of
just,
people
there were
didn't
so
like
many
that.
good
I love
surprises
that.
for the Flames that
Yeah.
make their future look a lot better
Oh
than
yeah.
initially going into last year.
Yeah. Sharon Govich in particular, and I'm so glad they've already extended him because,
Yeah.
like, I know a lot of people weren't a fan of the Toffoli trade because, to be fair, Toffoli was like he put up like 30 goals, 60-some points
He had
last
the
year.
best season of his career with Calgary
Yep.
in that full year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was like amazing. People were like, "Why are we trading this guy?"
But
So
like Sharon Govich, like he goes in there, he plays a decently hard game, good defensively, and then
Yeah.
he can do a lot of cool stuff in the offensive zone. Like I'm pretty sure he's more of a pass first kind of guy. Like he's not like he does a bit of both. He's not Huberto or anything, but like
Yeah.
he's a bit more of a playmaker. But he kind of has a really good all around game. So
yeah,
I really don't mind that extension for the next 5 years. They've got him till the 2030 season. So
yeah,
And it's at a good cap hit too. Like it's a nice
yeah.
contract.
It was a decent deal,
And
yeah.
it fits the timeline of kind of what they're doing. Like
Yeah,
kind of where they're at in about that 5 year span. Like I think they're the way they've been going, they're gonna be back on the, in the playoff hunt and whatnot. And so
Yeah.
it works out perfectly.
yeah,
But moving on to their projected lineups, these are really feel all over the place. So like, we can definitely spend a bit of time debating what we think these lines are actually going to look like, because no shot. But the first line, they have it listed as Sharon Govich on the left wing, Kadri centering, and Kuzmenko on the right wing.
That's a fun first line, actually.
That's a fun
Yeah.
first line.
That's a fun line to watch. Kuzmenko is such a blast to watch, man.
he is.
Like, I see why Canucks fans were actually kind of pissed that they traded him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you just watch him, it's just like, he's just a fun dude.
Oh yeah.
Like,
And-
it's like a blast to be on the bench with him.
Like exclamation point on the even the off ice stuff. I remember the first like interview they had with him. I was like, I know a little bit about him, and then they interviewed him, and it was like, this guy's just here to have fun. Like he doesn't
Yeah.
even care. He was just like so jovial and just like joking around, and like obviously English isn't his first language, so he like makes jokes about like, oh sorry, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Or something. And just
Yeah.
and you're like,
And then
clearly
he's laughing like it's just a joke.
and he's
yeah.
just laughing and having a good time, and so like you need guys like that in the locker room that are also like high skilled, and so
Especially in the state that Calgary's in, like just having that
Oh, yeah.
that beacon of light and just that lighthearted guy
Yeah.
in the room, like
Yeah.
that's so huge.
It's
for them.
huge, yeah.
And that's why I'm on the thing of like, if you get a great offer that you can't refuse for him, you
Yeah.
take it. But like,
Yeah.
if he wants to stay in Calgary, because again, it didn't
That-
sound like he really was open to going to Calgary. Like eventually he agreed to.
yeah,
But like, if he's willing to stay there, I wonder if you keep him around just because like
I
that's
think
a
they
great
should.
like
Yeah.
it's again probably
If it's
not
a
a
fair
guy
deal.
that should be wearing like an A or a C maybe.
Yeah.
But like in terms of just being a great morale booster for the whole team and whatnot,
yeah,
I'm open to Calgary keeping him around.
yeah.
And I like the fit of him there with Calgary.
Yeah, honestly, I think he fits in the lineup pretty well for what we need right now.
One of the better goal scorers on
Yeah.
the team at the moment as
Which
well.
Calgary lacks a pretty high mark in. So he can score some goals is what we need. I would totally agree with you with if he stays for a good price, but at the same time someone asks a good, hey, we got the sweet deal for you. I don't think they should refuse a good deal just to keep him around.
Exactly. Yeah.
They're in a state to take those offers. Yeah, okay, we'll take a first, or we'll take some good draft
Especially with
picks.
how
Yeah.
loaded their cupboards are. Like if you've
Yeah.
got the chance to even stack that up even more, like you have to.
Yeah.
But like if he's willing to stick around and whatnot, and you're not really getting anything that blows you out of the water, like yeah.
Yeah, like he's 28 years old, so
only
like he's
20.
not
Wow.
like he's
Yeah.
not that old. 2 years ago, he put up 39 goals, 74 points.
Yeah.
Last year, this is just with the Flames.
And you say please don't include the Canucks stats
Yeah.
from last year. Those weren't great.
Yeah. 14 goals, 25 points in 29 games. He was still around the same pace, just way
It's
less
actually better
games.
than I thought.
And even with the Canucks, like, you say they're bad, but, like, 21 points in 43 games. He's around half a point per game.
Yeah, I guess,
and
yeah.
they have a pretty stacked forward core. He was,
Yeah.
I imagine he was playing probably third
I
line
was gonna
minutes.
say, I think he was playing third line minutes.
Like, it's
He was
pretty hard to
all
break
over
to that top
place.
6.
I think he was the guy getting bumped around.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't keep him on one line.
Yeah.
Because they were trying to overcoach with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it looks a bit weird looking at the stat lineup, but like that's 2 seasons where he's, at least once he's settled into a spot, he looks like he's going to be around 40 goal, 35 goal guy. Like,
Yeah.
if a team's not willing to pay for him, okay, fine. Then I'll keep a good player. Like,
Yeah.
as long as he's willing to stay and you don't just lose him to free agency.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
Never
And
again.
if you've got guys like Kuzmenko and Sharangovich playing with Kadri.
Oh, yeah.
Kadri, I don't think he gets enough credit, but I feel like he really does elevate players around him. Not to the extent of other guys, obviously, but
Yeah.
I feel like, whatever line is out there for Calgary, usually, like, the best line of the night, it's whoever's playing with Kadri, really.
Yeah.
There's a
usually
lot of
find,
nights where, well, and especially when it was last season when it was him, Zari, and Pospisil. He was playing with the kids and just kind of showing them the
So
way.
fun, yeah.
And it was a great line to watch. Every time they're out there, you're like, oh, here we go. Like, what's going to happen? And because you got Kadri out there, he can do stuff. And then Pospisil's throwing the body. He's trying to make a name for himself. And then Zari is
Pulling off
yeah.
some of the sickest moves last year.
Yeah.
He never scored off them,
No,
but, like,
like,
they look cool.
The potential was just like this guy. He comes out of nowhere and he's just like ripping these sick dangles, and you're like, "What the hell?" Like,
Yeah.
And then of course,
It's like
score on
this
it,
was
but-
in the AHL for the last 3 years.
Yeah,
What are we doing?
Yeah, well, I mean that's what happens when you don't have any. Gotta put the veteran guys on the bottom line. Don't give those young guys any
That's
chance.
that Daryl Sutter effect.
Don't want to take cookies away from James Neal.
Yeah, let's
And
put.
Lucic.
His boy Nick Ritchie.
Let's put
Season
Nick
on the
Ritchie
line.
up.
You get
Oh.
one player. Who is it? Yeah, Nick Ritchie.
Gun
saw-
to your head, one guy in the shootout. Who do you go with? Nick Ritchie.
I saw him pull a sick goal before the game, and I just thought, hey, that was pretty cool.
He went bar down in Warmies, so I don't know.
Oh man,
It's so funny because people would probably not remember that even if he did score, which it would have been hilarious if he did.
Yeah.
But, like...
Oh, I'd be remembering it if he scored.
Especially
because I remember seeing him
especially
come
since-
off the bench. I'm like, why?
Especially since Toffoli was there. That was the year where we were just talking about
Yep.
Toffoli's leading goal score and point score. He didn't shoot.
He didn't.
He didn't
get
shoot
in the lineup.
in the 3 shots.
No, didn't get in the shootout lineup.
Madness.
What the hell are you doing, man? What
Moving to the second line, we got Connor Zary on the left wing, centered by Michael Backlund, and Blake Coleman on the right wing.
Is Huberdeau injured? Is there like a reason?
No,
No, we're getting
that's
to
why.
him.
That's why I said it's weird lineups.
Oh shit.
Yeah, you want a third line
Oh,
checking
fuck.
forward?
So sorry, it was Zari, Backlund, and
Coleman.
Yeah.
Coleman.
Yeah. It's a strange line, I think.
Yeah, that's a
Huberdeau's got to be in the top 6. Like, good God, like
that's a weird combination. That line.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think Backlund and Coleman should probably be on separate lines. I feel like they do very similar things, and instead of stacking that, you almost want to spread that out a bit.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, do the Flames want Zari playing on the wing or center? I know
think
he had kind of stints at both, and I'm like,
yeah. I think they've been trying him a bit. I think in preseason, I think maybe he's played. I know Pospisil, which I think he's played wing, but they've been trying to get him to play center a bit.
he is a big body.
So
They have him listed as center on here.
yeah.
I like Backlund, but second line center, that's a bit out of place for him at this
Yeah.
point now.
I
Like,
think
he's
it
a
goes-
great, he's an elite third line center.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he's kind of a fish out of water on the second line,
Yeah.
to be honest.
Yeah.
I think the probably the reason that the lineup is the way it is center is a bit of a crapshoot for the Flames right now. That Michael Backlund is probably our best second faceoff taker. So I mean, you throw him on that second line, but I
guess
think
you have the luxury of Sharangovich on the first line. Like, he played center a lot.
yeah, true.
So,
yeah,
but again, like, that first line's fucking fun the way it is. I would like to see that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
I think the lineup. Obviously, you want to have some sort of chemistry and make it work, but I think as much as they're normally in a blender, the Flames lineup this year might be in a bit of a blender until maybe they maybe that first line clicks really well. Maybe the second line, something.
Yeah.
You never know.
The cream will rise to the top.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't think Blake Coleman, Michael Backlund, and Connor Zary together it doesn't scream a great line.
Doesn't scream sexy.
It doesn't drive anything home for me.
Yeah.
Zary on the second line, I can agree with that, but I don't think his line mates. They're not going to give him anything to do his job, right?
Yeah, and a lot of it is confusing because of their third line. Like, they got Huberdeau on the left wing, Mantha on the right wing, and Pospisil in center.
Oh, that's...
What the hell is that line, dude? Daily face-off. There's no way they're running this in practices, right? Like, this, they just generated this.
I'm pretty sure this is just generated, because...
I don't know what to think with that third line. That's holy shit. I thought it was going to be like lines in a blender. That's in a blender. There.
Yeah.
The first line.
This is the weirdest
sense,
one we've seen out of every team we've covered, I think.
Really?
I think these are probably the weirdest.
Yeah.
Like,
pretty much every other team has made sense.
Okay.
There might be a guy that's one, like, a guy who's, I figure would probably be on the first line, who might be on the second.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen anything as much as, like, Huberdeau on the third, which I get what they're getting at, but, like, he was still half a point per game player, and you're paying him like a guy, he has the skill, it just kind of has to happen.
Yeah.
So I do like him with Mantha, though. Like, their chemistry has looked good early on, and I would like to see them continue to play together and try and, especially because not only can it help elevate Huberdeau and help maybe get his confidence back, but if he can help Mantha pop off, because again, he signed that 1 year deal, so he's a deadline flip.
Yeah, flipping him.
So just try and boost his value with Huberdeau. Like, if it works, it works, and but again, who do you put with him? I don't love Pospisil with him because
has Coleman played much center with Calgary? Because he was a centerman basically his entire time in Tampa.
I don't think he has. I'm pretty sure he's only been on the wing. Maybe
I've seen him take a couple face-offs, but he's mostly been a winger.
I think he's played on the wing mostly.
Yeah, because the idea of like a Huberdeau, Coleman, Mantha or something as your second line might be a little bit better.
Even Huberdeau with like Zary in the middle. Again, I don't know if they want Zary playing center or not.
Yeah.
But like Huberdeau, Zary, and Mantha, like that gives you a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
With those guys.
Yeah.
Even if you put Sharangovich between them, I think could work. I just don't like Pospisil and Mantha together. I feel like they're too similar. Of players, you kind of want to spread that out more.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's just weird because it feels like they have a couple of guys they want to move into the top six, but it feels like they have around 5 guys that probably shouldn't leave that top 6.
Yeah.
Like Sharangovich, Kadri, Kuzmenko, they should all be up there, probably on that top line together.
Yeah.
Huberdeau and Coleman, I feel like you probably want both of those guys at least on your second line.
Coleman, you could get away with your third line, though.
You can, but like he was one of their best scorers last year. Like
that is true.
Yeah,
and he plays good 2-way game. Like it, they also have him locked in long term, so it's like there's not really a reason to have him playing too deep in the lineup. Yeah. Like unless obviously, of course, if any of the young guys take that spot from them, like allow them to take as many spots as they want. Like that's why you get good rookies, right? But yeah, I definitely think Backlund on that would need to come down from that second line. Maybe Zary. If they have him as a center, I don't mind that.
Yeah.
But, they do have their third line on here listed as Lomberg on the left wing, Walker Duehr on the right wing, and Kevin Rooney centering them.
Fourth line.
It's more NHL ready than I thought it would be, not going to lie.
I
thought they'd have a
bringing
couple more
Lomberg
AHL guys.
back, actually.
Lomberg and
Lomberg
Duehr
coming back.
Yeah.
Walker Duehr
coming back?
Well, he was here for a very short amount of time, and then he left.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, no, he was.
I thought Brody forgot that he's a
drafted?
Stanley Cup champion.
Yeah, drafted by Calgary.
I believe he was.
I think he was
I remember
drafted by
watching him
Calgary.
get his shit rocked in a fight one time, and then before I knew it, he was off the team. He was gone. I was like, shit.
I'm pretty sure he was drafted by Calgary.
Undrafted. But the Flames did sign him and bring him in. He spent. Yeah, he only played 11 games with the Flames in the NHL.
Yeah.
Mostly in AHL.
And then he signed with a Florida team. They're lucky he didn't turn into Marty St. Louis, too. Undrafted, signed by the Flames, goes to Florida.
I'm not crazy about Walker Duehr, to be honest. I know Flames fans might not like that, but he last year was his year to make it. Yeah, at the NHL level, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like last year was his make or break, and he just didn't do it for him.
Yeah, I feel like there was a lot of potential, a lot of what ifs surrounding him, and he kind of hasn't really performed in any way that's made it like, oh yeah, this guy's a future of the team, even a bottom 6 future of the team. He's got some skill, he's got a little bit of stuff to bring to the table, but I don't think he has enough with what Calgary has in the coffers to bring up. Like I think
I thought he was way younger. I didn't realize he's 26. I thought he was like 22.
Yeah, he's been around for a little bit.
And he looked good his first year, like 2 years ago. So I thought last year was like, okay, and he's going to take that next step and being better. It's like, no, he seems like he kind of either stayed the same or regressed a bit. I don't know, but
yeah,
he definitely
didn't feel like the same
regressed.
player when he first kind of burst onto the scene and was fighting to stay in the league, right?
Yeah. He in 27 games 2 years ago, he had 7 goals, 11 points. So like, not bad.
And that's
some
bottom
goals.
6 minutes. Like,
that's not
good.
bad. Last year, even more games, 40 games, only 2 goals, 7 points.
Yeah.
So less in all the categories
worse
except for games played.
I have never looked at the stats from last year for him. Yeah, I didn't realize it was that bad.
Holy, I knew it was bad, but like that's way worse than I thought.
Is he actually a bad player though, or is it like they have to manage their expectations? Because a lot of people thought he might end up being like a good top to middle 6 forward that can score some stuff. Is he still worth keeping around in a bottom 6 capacity?
I don't mind him if he's your 13th, 14th forward.
Yeah.
Or even just in the AHL, he's down there kind of being a bigger power forward, looking out for some of the younger guys.
Yeah.
You can call him up if need be, but I don't love him being a mainstay in the lineup.
No.
I think he's a guy you sprinkle in there occasionally.
Is he a bit of a defensive liability that way, or does he? I'm not incredibly familiar with his game.
I just don't think he brings a lot to the table.
He doesn't excel in any specific area. Like
he goes out there, he goes for a skate, and then he just hits
Holy!
I don't want to crap on the guy too much, but
Stop!
sometimes
You're literally just describing Connor Sheary last year. Don't do it.
It's really like you expect something to happen, and then nothing happens, and you're like,
get this cardio in.
Yeah, I guess he didn't let a goal in, or he didn't cost us anything, but he really didn't do much for us either way. So
the thing is with Dewar though is the potential. We've seen the potential there already.
Yeah.
And if the Flames we're like, okay, you're done, trade him to Colorado or something for future considerations.
Yeah.
Damn well he's popping off on Colorado's 4th line though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like he's that type of player where it's like. With Calgary, I don't see it working, but it's like, man, there's some
you
teams
can't
if
let
he
anyone
goes
else
there, like he's gonna go nuts.
It's just waste away in the AHL and not let him go anywhere else.
Yeah, who I don't even know who Calgary has as like extra forwards. Can come in to.
I was trying to think about that. I mean, honestly, there's a couple guys that I was just looking at.
Did we list? I don't think we listed. Do we list Peltier?
No, Jacob Peltier is not on there.
Ooh.
But he is signed. So, and they signed with a 1-year deal, which I think is a prove it deal.
He's going to get
RFA
NHL
at the end.
Yeah. So I think it's like I really hope he pops off. But
Coronado as well.
Yes, Coronado is up there. A name that
preseason was filthy.
Oh God, so good. But a name that I don't know if it's just kind of weird to throw out there, but Adam Klapka, huge dude, and can kind of actually like move the puck. And,
one of my buddies was
saying
he should make the team because of how big he is, and like that's it's what Calgary needs.
Yeah. Klapka and Lomberg, that's fucking awful to play against.
Putting Klapka on the 4th line, like I don't know, like I mean,
if that line steps on the ice and I'm playing against them, I say, Coach, I have a tummy ache. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Like,
I gotta go take a shit.
It sounds crazy to say, given that like. He really, isn't going to be like a staple in Flames history, but like the Flames miss Luch. I think they miss what Lucic brought on the ice, and I think Adam Klapka can be a younger, more skilled,
doesn't skate in cement kind of guy.
Yeah, like just a better modern version of what Luch brought to the table. And I would love for Klapka to make the team.
Oh, man.
That's why I'm really rooting for him to make it.
Yeah. That's why I think a lot of people are high on Pospisil. He brings a bit of grit that Calgary's missed.
Yeah.
And
he's not particularly big, is he, Pospisil?
No.
Like,
I don't think he's tall, but I think he's like
Built?
sturdy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like he's
built like a bus almost.
he's not bad. He definitely he's a bit of a, obviously you don't get that high level, but like a Matthew Tkachuk style of shit disturber. He goes in there, he stirs the
Yeah.
pot, he pisses some guys off because he does, probably butt ends him a little, or does the cheeky stuff.
Yeah.
Throw some hits. I think he's got to learn. I know a lot of people weren't happy with some of the plays he made.
109 penalty minutes last year in 63 games.
Damn.
What's his size? Does it say on there?
6'2", 173.
Oh, so
Yeah.
shit. I thought he weighed more than that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah.
and he's got a history of concussions, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's had a
Like that's why he has the tinted visor.
Oh, right. Yes. Yeah.
And so that's the thing, right? Is like he can be out there and be a shit disturber, but it's like you need other guys in the mix that when he's stirring up shit.
Yeah.
You've got Klapka coming over to fight. Like
Yeah,
Pospisil
he can be the guy who can get in there and push people and even lay some hits, but he can't necessarily be the guy fighting.
Exactly what Matthew Tkachuk did, like
Yeah,
you said.
yeah.
Go in there, start shit,
Stir
and
it
be
up.
like, as soon as there's a fight, it's like, okay, I'm going to the bench, so like I'm out.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll see you guys later. You
Yeah.
guys deal with this.
You guys
Yeah.
clean up my mess now.
Yeah. He fought a little bit more often, but like Yanni Gord even playing with Coleman, like he would go in there and he would shit disturb like crazy, and it's like, all right, now fight Barclay. I'm out of here.
Good luck. I'll see you guys later.
I'm getting the hell out. So
So like, what
last
could
year
a
as well,
fourth line look like? then?
24 points for Pospisil as well last
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
No,
in
yeah,
63 games.
He had a good
Plus
decent
14.
year.
Like,
From a guy very unexpected. Like, I mean, myself had no one really know how to say Pospisil. Like, they were like, who is this guy? Popsicle? Whatever. Like, who is this? And then he just shows up, and people now all of a sudden are like, this guy's like he's here, man. Like,
piss missile?
Fitz Missile.
I also do think the one thing that could work out in Klapka's favor is like, I'm assuming the Flames aren't looking there and being like, oh, if Peltier makes a team of Coronado, it's like, you guys are fourth line guys.
No.
Right? Like, I feel like if, with Klapka, though, he's kind of fighting for a job, it's like, you're battling with the Kevin Rooney's, the Walker Dewars, whoever the other guy was.
Lomberg.
Oh, Lomberg's making the
Lomberg.
team.
Yeah,
Lomberg's going to be there.
Yeah, he'll be around.
But, so...
You can take the job from Rooney and Dewar, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to be like, oh, I don't know, we better keep Kevin Rooney around.
Hell, if you start being good enough to take the job from Mantha or something like that, you know what? Call people earlier than the deadline and say, hey, do you want Anthony Mantha? And
Yeah,
if
if
you
Mantha
can make
drops
some room.
like 4 points in a game, start immediately calling everybody. Just be like, what can we do?
Yeah. Play him 35 minutes a night for the first 10 games, and then call every GM in the league.
Like, Klapka's 24 years old. I'm so high on Klapka, by the way. He's 24 years old. He's 6'8", 235.
He's a beast.
He just dropped 21 goals for 46 points in 65 games in the AHL last year. His second full year in the AHL.
Yeah. Yeah, because he had a really good year in the AHL, and then, I mean, I've watched him in preseason, and I think he played, like, maybe a couple games with the Flames last year. And
I think he did.
Yeah, I think, like, near the end, they called him up a couple times, but
He
honestly,
played 6 games.
Okay.
He had one goal, 19 penalty minutes and -1, so...
yeah, like, nothing.
It's kind of what you expect from when he's first kind of just getting his toes wet in the
Getting
league.
his feet
So
wet, yeah. I mean, yeah, like I'm right there with you. I would not be upset if Klapka made the team. Fourth line, maybe fights for a third line job. Like,
jersey sales would go nuts as well. Just on the last one alone,
yeah,
like
Klapka, like
that's-
what a hockey name. Yeah.
throw a 69 on the back of that. Fuck. Oilers fans would be buying that.
Oh,
How tall was he?
6'8".
6'8".
Yeah. So Zdeno Chara is the tallest player in NHL history at 6'9". The second tallest is they listed Tyler Myers, but it's several guys tied at 6'8".
At 6'8".
He would be tied.
He's tied for
He would be tied
second.
for second as the tallest guy in NHL history. Like he is a beast, and if he can actually skate and like play the game well on top, because like some of the guys that would be listed here at 6'8", like they're guys that they walk like a giraffe, like they don't.
They're skating in
like
cement.
they were only picked for their size. If he's
Yeah.
also good at the game, like
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's scary when a 6'8" guy stands you up at the blue line. Imagine how scary it is if he gets some momentum and comes towards you.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
yeah.
him on the forecheck.
Yeah.
Like,
And the reach as well.
Yeah,
Is
his reach is
huge.
nuts.
that's the thing. He's a forward as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, all these guys on this list are defensemen. John Scott, Andre Suster. Don't know who Joe Finley is, but...
Yo, Joe Finley. You know.
John Scott was a forward, though.
Gosh.
Well, can you really call it, like, John Scott was a player.
He was an icon. He was an all-star.
He was an all-star, to be
all-star
fair.
John
All-star
How
MVP.
dare you besmirch
That
the
is
name.
true. He wasn't, yeah.
Yeah, no, like that's and going to a couple AHL games last year, knowing that he was a big guy and people being like, yeah, he's huge. Seeing him on the ice towering over, I mean, AHL there's a lot of smaller, younger guys, but like seeing him tower over people, I'm like, man, I wouldn't want to be skating down the ice and
Yeah.
see this huge dude coming
Yeah.
at me. Like, fuck that, I'm gonna get out of the way. Like, yeah. So fourth line, third line, like, yeah, he's not gonna be a superstar. He's not gonna kill it, but he could definitely vie for a good third line.
And that's the best part, right? Is like, even though these forward lines, I don't know what the hell they've done on daily face-off to get to this
Yeah.
mess. But like
Yeah.
the Flames have so many options, and there's guys that aren't even on this list that I think are going to be great players.
Yeah.
Maybe not right out of the gate, but they're all going to get their cracks at some point. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if this happened because I know a lot of the guys like Pelletier and stuff, they didn't have them signed right away, so they didn't really know what they were doing or making, if they're going to make the team kind of thing. But I think, yeah, they there's a lot of guys that could easily fight for a spot to replace Kevin Rooney, Walker Dewar, you know, like there's,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
But we will finally move on to the defense.
Are the I don't, because I don't have it open. Are the defense pairings better at least and more accurate than what the forwards were?
I would say yes.
Oh.
I would
Well,
say
it's probably
I would-
not
I would-
hard to be.
I would say
be
they're
more
better, but
closer,
I would say they're one of the more shocking defensive cores
It's-
we've looked at.
yeah.
There's one major one, and maybe they're just spreading it out.
The
But
first line?
yeah, there's an omission on the first line, but
Yeah.
I guess they're just spreading
I
the
think they're
talent
trying to
out.
spread it, yeah.
But that first defensive pair is Mackenzie Weegar and Daniil Miramanov.
Yeah.
See, they're high on Miramanov though.
Yeah,
That-
they are
and that's
right
another
on
When they
him.
made that trade with Vegas for Hannafin, obviously, like, you were getting a first back, but like they were like,
We
no,
want
we
him.
want Miramanov.
Yeah.
Like that's
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 it's
the guy
deal
they
or no
want,
deal
yeah.
if we get him.
And Vegas is like, who's that? Yeah, he hasn't played for us. Get out of here.
We don't need that guy.
yeah. They probably looked and they're like, yeah, okay, you want him, sure,
Sold.
yeah.
Yeah.
How did we get this guy? Draft pick? Grow up.
I don't even know how to get a hold of him. We haven't talked to him in so long.
We just signed players.
Anybody have his phone number? No, we'll just tell him on Facebook.
we'll just
just
put on
add him on
Twitter.
Twitter.
He'll find out.
Vegas.
There, I don't know. I didn't pay attention too much to him when he came over after the deadline and how he looked, but I know he had some flashes here and there, and Calgary's high on him. So
Yeah.
I think Uyghur's a good pairing partner to put with him. I don't think you could pick a better option on the left side to put with him.
He's such a good player to usher guys in because like
Yeah.
he can score, he can play defense, he can hit. Like Uyghur really is like an elite defenseman who can do every part of the game.
Not to mention a guy who had to work for it, so he knows like
Yeah.
you don't just come here and make your money. You're gonna work.
Yeah,
and
it's through effort.
Yeah, you got to put the work in, otherwise, there's someone else is gonna take your job, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So coming over to Calgary after the deadline, Miramanov played 20 games, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points. So that's not terrible.
Yeah,
Interesting that it's 3 goals, 4 assists, because obviously most defensemen have way more assists than goals, and
Yeah.
Uyghur is
He
one of the
likes
few
to shoot the
defensemen
puck.
that shoots a lot. So if Miramanov does as well,
yeah.
it'll be interesting to see, when they're deployed with what forward group,
Yeah.
Are they putting them out there with the second and third line where when they take the zone, it's a lot of pass it back, get towards the net, one of them's taking a bomb kind of thing.
someone's
'Cause-
bombing it, yeah.
Yeah.
but
It's a fun first pair. I don't know if it's going to work well.
Yeah,
but
I don't.
Yeah.
I think
there's a pretty
Miramanov
obvious
has-
fallback plan if it doesn't
Yeah.
work out.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about that right side.
Yeah,
But
They're just kind of spreading the talent out a bit more.
yeah. Put
Not
guys,
not loading up on the top pair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah, and I think that also benefits the second pair as well. consisting of Jake Bean and Rasmus Anderson. I think playing with Anderson will be great for Bean as well. Yeah. So like I think that could very well potentially help both of those guys.
Yeah, because I don't think you could put Bean and Miramanov together. I don't think that works.
It's too much of a question mark.
Yeah. And I think Jake Bean's still kind of a question mark. Like,
yeah.
You know, I don't think you really got a fair shake with Carolina because obviously their blue line was stacked. Columbus, I mean. Look at Adam Boqvist. Like, you're a young defenseman. They're, you know,
it's gonna be
things
hard.
are always just weird there. So, you know, coming back, and he's from Calgary. Like, you know, if things work out, he could be a staple on the Flames blue line for a while. Yeah. He's a guy that wants to be here. Yeah. The skill is there, so it's really just, can he figure it out? Yeah. And if he can, like, that's a huge win for Calgary right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, similar to the first line, like, Anderson is a great guy to help him out and help him figure out how to do that. So,
because Anderson's, like, feels like he hasn't been in the league that long, but, like, he's a veteran now in the team. Yeah. Like, he's a veteran in the league.
It's a bit weird because, you think, I mean, how old is he now?
Low-key was in the running for the captaincy when it looked like Backlund might not be coming back there.
Yeah.
It was basically him and Uyghur to me.
Yeah. I would not have been mad about either of those.
And then on that third defensive pair, we got Kevin Ball and Braden Paschal.
Bahal.
Wait, for which one?
Braden Bahal.
So you've got Kevin Ball.
Ball.
I thought you were talking about the first one.
Oh, yes. No, Ball.
I was like,
Bahal.
Bahal.
And Pahal.
Yeah.
Wow.
that is, I didn't realize, That's...
I mean, Kevin Ball, I think, that's right where he should be.
Yeah.
He's a big boy, you know, bottom pairing defenseman. Yeah. I don't really know much about Pahal yet. I don't know who else the Flames even have. I know they've got, like, guys like, was it Kuznetsov?
Yeah, Jan Kuznetsov, Jeremy Poirier.
Oh, Poirier's. I would like to see actually get some NHL games.
Crack the lineup. I'm trying to think. Oh, I think he's like our seventh defenseman, but we still have Joel Hanley. So
no, I don't want to see it.
He doesn't really need to see the ice. I mean, but we got Kuznetsov.
Jeremy Poirier is a fun one. To make the team.
Yeah.
Hunter.
I can never say
Brustevich. I don't. Is he ready to make that jump yet? I know he played really well in the. He
was in the O last year.
Was he in the O?
I think he's probably better suited for at least some AHL time first.
Yeah. Like, might get a look in the preseason, but just to see where he's at.
And then probably maybe near the end of the season, like post-trade deadline, especially if, you know, some guys are getting moved out or injured or whatever. Yeah. You call him up and give him some games, but I think right now, I just let him season in the AHL for a bit. Yeah. If Poirier especially makes a team, let him run the power play down there, let him be the kind of go-to guy down there for them. I think is the best setting for him.
Yeah. And I guess all we have after that is the goaltenders, which, of course, finally, from the start of the season, will be Dustin Wolf and Dan Vladar. I'm so glad they finally traded Markstrom. Dude, Wolf, he needs to play in the NHL.
He's done it all in the AHL. Like, there's not much more... Well, there's nothing else he can really do other than a Calder, I guess. And, like, he did everything before, like, in juniors, and, like...
It got to the point where he would put up, like, a 935 in a single game in the AHL, and people would be like, fuck, he had an off night tonight.
Yeah.
It's
like, wow.
What do you mean?
What a garbage night for Wolf tonight.
He let in one goal on, like, 40 shots. Like, fuck, he should have had that shot. Like, just, he needs to be in the NHL now.
And I think, obviously, a lot of people saying that, you know, his size is a big question mark. You know, can he make it in the NHL? But how do you know that until you actually give him time? You got to let him be in the NHL, put him in a full season, let him do his thing, and then you can make your judgment from there, right?
Nets are the same size in all the leagues. I definitely get it way more with a player, like a forward or especially a defenseman if they're undersized, but a goalie, like, they're not taking hits. It's none of that. Like, that them being smaller doesn't mean they... You know, it means they can't cover as much room, but, you know, if they've been playing goalie their whole life, they've obviously already adjusted to
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Like, I worry much less about that type of transition.
Yeah.
So it
How
doesn't
big is
it doesn't worry me too much.
What's his size exactly?
I want to say he's like 5'10", 5'9", but
I also think he might be billed at higher than he actually is. But
Yeah, like they got him at 6 foot 166.
yeah.
So
I got it here at 1.83 meters. But
I don't know what that is.
1.83.
That comes out to
that's
6 feet.
That's basically 6 foot
So
even.
say for argument's sake, he's 6'10".
Yeah.
6'10".
Or not 6'10", sorry, 5'10". There was a point in time in the league last year where out of the 64 total goalies rostered amongst all 32 teams,
Yeah.
63 of them were 6 foot or taller.
Yeah.
There's only one goalie that was shorter than 6 foot.
Oh, he must have sucked. I bet he's horrible. I bet he doesn't even have a contract right now. I bet he doesn't even have a huge extension.
And you would be wrong because it was UC Saros.
What?
And so right there, it's like the narratives of goalie sizes and being small. It's like, sure, but it's like, just let him play first.
Hasek was
let him
tiny,
figure
dude.
it out, like-
He's like most diehard hockey fans say Hasek is the greatest goalie of all time.
Yeah.
Like bare minimum, he's top 3.
Yeah.
If you don't like him, so like small goaltenders can make it work even more so than small players, and small players also can. So like,
absolutely. Yeah.
it's it's about more about positioning, and they obviously have to be a bit more proactive. They have to have really good reflexes, but I take the fast, quick, smaller goalie over the guy who's lumbering slow, but he covers a crap ton of the net. Like,
Yeah, honestly, and I feel like he's demonstrated that with his skill in the AHL. He has, positioning's huge for him, and obviously, if you know what you need to know about your size and how to play, then it's going to be not easy for you, but it's easier to adapt and go, okay, this is what I need to do, this is what I need to work on, this is how I need to play in order to be an elite goalie or even just a starting goalie in the NHL. No one's... there's expectations are all over the place with him, but, if he comes in and he is a good starter, great. If he comes in and he's an elite goalie in the NHL, then, yeah, that's even better. But maybe he comes in and is more of a backup. But you don't know that until you give him a chance, you give him a shot and say, hey, here's the net, and maybe make him work for it. You have Dan Vladar as a backup. Devin Cooley's kind of come out of nowhere to make his name, throw his name in the ring, but I think that's not a bad thing to have in a goaltender position.
No.
To make yourself work for it and go, I need to be on my game every game and prove why I'm the starter.
I think the only thing you can't do with Wolf is you can't go back to the AHL.
No.
It's at the point now where even if he's having a few rough games, even if he's a healthy scratch and you call up another goalie to back up Vladar or something, you got to let him figure it out at this point.
Yeah.
You can't backtrack and be like, oh, you're having a rough go to the AHL. Like, he should never play a game in the AHL again.
Yeah, completely agree.
If it doesn't work out or it's not working out at times, he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He's a good goalie. He's put up the insane stats he has for a reason. So.
Yeah.
And I think he's going to do just fine with Calgary. Obviously, there's going to be growing pains, but that happens with every young goalie.
That happens when you're going through a rebuild.
I was going to say.
But yeah, the size is not a concern for me unless until the day somebody takes a slap shot and it pushes him into the net when he makes the save. I'm not going to worry about it.
The good and bad of it is, as the Flames
Swallows it up.
situations right now, is literally there's so much up in the air. Our goaltending, forwards, defensive, anyone at any point could take a step, and all of a sudden Calgary's looking pretty good.
And they still got all those draft picks coming up. They've
Draft
already got
picks.
quite a few good guys they've drafted.
Cap space.
They've got the
They
most
look
cap
a
space
lot
almost out
better.
of every team.
They look a
aside
lot
from
better than last year.
Actually, did they have the most cap space?
No, with I believe Columbus their
Columbus.
unique situation. I think
Yeah.
they have. They're under the cap floor right now.
But Calgary's got lots. So
But yeah.
if you're moving guys out and you want to the Mantha, you want to retain some of that.
Yeah.
You could even take on someone's bad contract, or you could be a middleman and be like,
Yeah.
no, we'll retain fifth if you throw us
gotta
a third
weaponize
round
it.
pick because
Yeah.
we flip
Oh,
them.
yeah.
3 picks.
Yeah.
So
Because we don't have anybody really coming up that they need to be like, okay, well, let's save the cap space, or
Yeah.
even if you're like doing the
Yeah.
flip, you take on a 1-year contract and
then by the draft, it's already gone.
it's
Yeah,
gone.
let
Even
every
2 years.
every GM in the league should have a message from Calgary's GM saying, "Hey, if you need a third team, if you find another deal and
Yeah.
you want to retain more, call me first."
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
like if you've got a third, a fourth, a second round pick, we've got cap space.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to, like, you don't want to just go through the year and just let all that cap space sit there. Like, use it as a weapon to help keep on building your team up. Like,
Yeah. Can't really
it's
sit on
the way to do it.
19, 20 mil, whatever they're sitting on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
20 mil. The only teams that have more is Columbus with about 3 mil more, and Anaheim has about 1.6 mil more. And that's it.
Really?
Anaheim they're never gonna use their cap space. It seems like
What's going on in Anaheim? Like, they could absolutely be using that cap space, but I mean, they're probably,
Well, they're too busy getting ready to offload the Gibson contract, I guess.
I guess.
They'll fill up that cap space soon enough once all their incredible players get off of their ELCs.
Oh, I guess, yeah, it's true.
The McTavishes, the Zegras, the
Yeah.
Carlson.
Gautiers, the Carlson.
Yeah,
I'm really high on Leo Carlson. I think he's going to be a stud.
lot of big names that they're gonna have to pay within
Yeah.
the next couple years. So
Yeah, well, that's fair.
But yeah, I guess we got our 2 questions as always. Do we have the Calgary Flames making the playoffs next year? It's a no from me,
Yeah.
but that's kind of expected.
like,
Yeah.
if a lot of things go right, I could see a world that like they could snag like a wild card spot.
Yeah.
Like top 3 in the Pacific, no.
No.
A lot of things would have to go right. Like I'm
was
not
saying-
saying it's out of the question. Like
Yeah.
there is a possibility, but
Yeah.
It's pretty outside.
I just don't see it
A
happening.
couple teams in the Pacific have to fall off, and a lot of them in the Central have to underperform.
Yeah.
But
Like if
but
Dustin
they're not
Wolf-
expecting to make it this year,
like
which
if
helps.
Wolf hits though, and Huberdeau all of a sudden figures it out and is back to somewhat of what he used to be, like maybe. But yeah, I
I think that's like I said, what if, like there's a lot of stuff, all the stars align, everything goes right, Kuzmenko goes off and has a shitload of goals, Huberdeau, finds his power or his playmaking ability again and just like starts saucing like nasty passes, and
Yeah.
Dustin Wolf is putting up like Vezina Trophy numbers, like there's a lot of what ifs, and that's probably a lot of pipe dream things, but yeah, I think probably not, and that's probably for the best with the situation they're in right now.
especially because Matt Coronado's got more passing highlights already than Huberdeau does. Which is good for Coronado. For Huberdeau, not as nice.
Not as much. Hey, he put up like 4 points in the first game against Edmonton.
Actually, him and Matt, I've liked the look of those two together so far.
And the other question, who do you guys each have on this team winning an individual award, or the most likely to win an individual award this season? Brundy, I'll start with you. Put you on the hot seat.
There's 2 guys you could go with for the Calder. I'll go with Dustin Wolf for the Calder. I think he's going to be just fine. I think he's going to put up, maybe not like a high amount of like wins or whatnot, but I think the underlying numbers are going to be good.
Yeah.
And I think especially with again, like the Flames aren't going to be the best team, and it's going to be like the fact that he's playing as good as he is, I think could go a long way. And so, and you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing a goalie win the Calder again. I don't remember the last time we've seen a goalie win the. Like, was it Steve Mason?
I think it might be Steve Mason
Steve
who had
Mason, so
he had like, did he have like 10 shutouts or like 8 shutouts or something?
Yeah,
Like,
and that was on Columbus.
yeah.
And so that was like 2007 or 8 or somewhere in there. So I think it's time. I think it's time we see a goalie win the Calder. And I mean, if it's not Wolf this year, I don't know when we're maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
Askarov?
Yeah,
No. No. There's a big difference between what Calgary's putting on the ice and what San Jose is. Askarov is going to get fucking fed.
Expected save percentage.
expected.
Expected by who?
Askarov will be fine, but yeah, he doesn't have a chance at the Calder with what that Sharks team is going to be like in front of him.
All right. Cody, who do you have?
You know, I was thinking about this for a while. Like, I was just looking at the team and trying to, like, I was like, maybe I go the Calder route. Maybe I find someone like, Dustin Wolf or, Coronado or, someone like that. And then I was like, well, maybe, like, I thought about the Selke, but I was like, I don't know if there's a couple of guys I'm like, maybe Coleman. But I'm like, I don't know. Like, there's a lot of, like I said, a lot up in the air, right?
It's pretty tough on some of the teams that don't have an obvious one. It's kind of like you're looking at who's most likely more than what you really think, because
I will say tough. I did come in today. I was going to pick Zane Perrick for Calder if he made the team.
I was thinking
we already know that he's been sent back down. So.
Yeah. And that was actually a good thought that I had too. I was like, well, if he makes the team, like, he might be a bit of a running for that. So, man, I don't know. I mean, like, I'm trying to think of other rookies that are coming in this year, and so like maybe Klapka? No.
I like that pick though. I love that pick.
Honestly, I feel like Matt Coronado could take a step. I mean, like if he comes in and puts up, but like his shot, there's a lot that he needs to work on, but his shot is one it's pretty nasty, and obviously we've seen that he can pass the puck pretty nasty too. So
I think he's going to be this year's Connor Zary.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be the rookie that comes in and just he takes that job, and it's like, well, fuck, we can't send him down now. It's like, whose job is he taking?
Yeah, whose job?
Because he's going to come in and he's going to make it just undeniable that he's part of the team now.
Kevin Rooney on the hot seat.
Dude, he's been on the hot seat.
When is Kevin Rooney not on the hot seat?
Yeah, those are both pretty solid answers. There's a couple that stick out to me in particular. There's two that I'm stuck between. You know what? I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna go with Blake Coleman for the Selke.
Nice.
He just put up last year. He put up 30 goals, 54 points. It's great defensively.
The only knock you could say on Coleman is he's not a center.
Yeah,
like
and he has
really
played
the only
center,
kind of
but
knock that
he doesn't
nowadays
consistently play it. The other one I was very heavily thinking of was Mackenzie Weegar for the Norris. I could see it happening. It's tough in the NHL right now because there's just so many insane, elite, young defensemen showing up.
Yeah.
But
the only reason both of those actually were picks that I was thinking about, and the only reason I didn't pick Weegar for the Norris is the defensive landscape for elite defensemen.
It's so insane. Tough now. Like
I do wonder if he could win the Norris if he had like almost that single season Mike Green stat where like he puts up 30 goals as a defenseman. He doesn't hit that point total. Maybe he hits 60, 70 points, but if he gets like upper 20s to 30 goals, does that help his case a lot more?
I more than anything, I just want to see a new Norris winner this year. Like I don't want to see Quinn Hughes win it. I don't want to see Makar. I don't want to see Fox, Yossi. Like I want to see someone new. And to extent, even though I picked Bouchard, not even Bouchard. Like I would like to see just a long shot one, a guy that's talked about as a great defenseman, but like a Heiskanen or a Dahlin or a Charlie McAvoy or something.
Captain Dahlin.
Yeah, Captain Dahlin now.
I am all aboard the make the Norris a defensive trophy again. Like, I mean, putting up points on your team it's great, but you're the greatest defenseman doesn't necessarily mean you're putting up 100-point season or whatever. Like I like the idea of a defenseman that he put up 60, 70 points or whatever. But look at his plus minus. Look at his defensive skill. Look at all these defensive stats.
I would very much like make the Norris the best defenseman position, and then just make one. And you know what? It's even right there. Call it the Bobby Orr Trophy. The guy who's known for being a defenseman and scoring points. Yeah. And you don't even have to vote on it. you can just make it the Art Ross, but for defensemen.
Yeah.
The defenseman with the most points. And it's not even voted on. It's just whoever has the most points. If they're tied, they both get it.
Yeah.
Because it's really weird when you look at all of the awards that can be won. It's defenseman's not winning Art Ross. They're not winning the Rocket Richard. They're probably not winning the Hart because, again, they're not going to be up near the top scorers. Ted Lindsay, I can't remember the last time I went to a defenseman. All defensemen have is the Norris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And more often than not, it just goes to the defenseman who scores the most points.
Yeah. And there's even already a selfie.
Something else.
There's even a defensive trophy for the forwards.
On the other side of things, they have the offensive stuff for the forwards, and they have a trophy for the defensive side of being a forward. So
having award winners on your team is just fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun to see one of your guys get individual awards.
Yeah.
We can introduce a couple more.
Yeah, why not?
There's so many teams in the league. We can introduce one or two.
It's
more.
weird that defensemen basically have the same number of awards they can win as a rookie, pretty much.
Yeah.
Most rookies coming in, they're not going to win anything except potentially the Calder.
Yeah.
Defensemen, it's all you can really win is the Norris.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
So, I would like to, see something changed for that. Because
add offensive one. Bobby Orr, like you said, is right there. Have the Norris be more. This guy's skilled defensively. He kills it in the defensive zone. He maybe do put the points on there, but maybe
just
that's
treat
more
it
for
kind of like the selfie is.
Yeah.
You guys, you still got to put up points, but it's you have to have good numbers in your own end as well.
Yeah. You're not putting up 100 points and you're like a minus 10, right? Oh, sure, you got 100 points, but it's probably not going to happen. But minus 10 and you're 100 points. Did you really help your team?
Yeah.
To be fair, Erik Karlsson played a lot of minutes for the Sharks when that happened. So.
He did.
Hey, I wasn't going to say any names.
He did.
But...
he earned that Norris, but
well, I mean, you got to, right? I know people complain about that, but it's he's the first. He's one of 4 all-time defensemen to put up 100 points. Sure, bitch about it, but at the same time, if it was Makar in that position, everyone would be like, "Oh, yeah, you got to give it to Makar."
He deserves it. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Does that wrap up everything with the Oilers and the Flames?
It looks like it. Unless you have anything else that you'd want to talk about that we didn't really touch on. We talked a lot about the rookies and their what they're doing this upcoming season. Obviously, they're going to the rebuild, but a lot about Klapka.
Hey, how can you not?
Yeah, that is true.
But
go to a Wranglers game. I beg of you, go to a Wranglers game and watch that man play hockey. Maybe go to a Flames game when he makes the team and steals a third line spot from someone. Yeah, I mean,
it'd be a lot of fun. It's not a great team they have playing iced right now.
Yeah.
Compared to the NHL, but the outlook for Flames fans is a lot more positive than it's been since that triple 40 goal scorer season. Really.
Yeah, we. I mean, and it's honestly about time because Calgary has been hovering around middle or near. They've jumped. They had the one season where
the Minnesota spot.
Yeah, they're just in the middle and they can't suck enough to get a good draft pick, but they can't be good enough to. I mean, the last time we were second in the league, we made a first round exit.
Yeah.
And the best part is realistically they're in year kind of 2 of this rebuild now. Last year's kind of the start of it.
Oh yeah.
And you can already see such a big outlook of the future already.
Yeah.
Which is so nice. You look at a bunch of other
draft picks. There's actually some names attached to it.
There's
which
a
is
direction,
nice.
And I think that's the big part is when people say, "Hey, we're in a rebuild." It's okay, well, where are we going? What are we doing?
Yeah.
And then, but Conroy's done a pretty good job of this is our direction. I mean, he blatantly said it in the draft this year. Yeah, I'm just drafting skill guys because, that's what we want to see. We want more skilled guys. Yeah,
I want skilled hockey players.
I want some skilled guys. I mean, you can learn other aspects of the game. So I just drafted skill, and I mean, he cooked. So
yeah.
I'm here for some skill. I'm here. You take a bit of a gamble on some guys that hey, this guy's a good skill guy. Maybe he's not the best defensively or whatever. But he's got some potential there. Maybe he can grow in the game. You surround him with some decent veterans that are teaching him the ways of the game, teaching him how to win and lose. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of I guess a bit of a whirlwind for Flames fans right now. At least for me, I feel like
Yeah.
there's a good positivity, and that's, I think, a good start of it. A lot of the guys in preseason interviews and stuff have been pretty high on, like, we have a good culture here. Like, we're trying to build that back up. Have fun in games. Have, even when we're losing,
Yeah.
we're here to play hockey. We want to be here. We want guys that want to be here.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of been a small thing recently. Guys
Yeah.
don't want to play
Calgary
here.
specifically, but obviously just any Canadian team. Like,
yeah.
if a guy has a 10-team no-trade list,
Yeah.
okay, so we can't trade him to Canada plus 2 other teams generally.
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah.
it's very good that they're getting a better culture about that and like
Yeah.
really focusing on that an extra bit, because that has been
Yeah.
a bit of a burden over them in the past. And like just vibes right now. Like,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and you know what? If they're playing a little worse, the new arena's not done yet. Still got the dome. Tickets might be a bit cheaper. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
When tickets are cheaper, the building gets louder because
Yeah.
more people who just want to go hang out and watch a freaking hockey game can get in there.
Yeah.
Like,
I've got all the suits sitting in the front and in literally their suits. And,
Yeah.
don't drink in their dome foam.
yeah. That's
And
why.
then-
That's why whenever Toronto scores in the playoffs, they don't show the arena freaking out. They show all the people outside. Those are all the
Yeah.
people who can't afford the $1,000 tickets
Yeah.
to get in.
Yeah.
They're losing their minds.
Yeah.
The people in the seats are talking about freaking business and
Yeah.
and
Hey, see those
you know,
stock numbers on Friday?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
you want to split one beer?
Yeah.
Like,
Would you like to split one beer?
we're gonna go crazy tonight.
Oh.
But that's true, right? Like that's you couldn't be more right when you're talking about that.
Yeah. The culture of hockey, it's nice when, you get the people that are there for the culture and not, hey, I spent $800 on these hockey tickets, or a client handed them to me from a big wig, business or whatever, like. Yeah.
Just you want the seats full of Joe Schmoes looking to watch their favorite players.
Yeah,
Like-
there to have a good time. That's why, I enjoy going to the Wranglers games. You get to see the young guys, just do their thing, and you get a lot of kids that are there, obviously, for the same reason, just to watch hockey, watch these guys. Oh, that'll be me one day, like that's...
Just have a good time.
Yeah, just have
Yeah.
a good time.
100%.
Yeah, I remember. Well, I guess it was a couple years ago now, but I went and saw. I don't know if it was the first preseason game, but I saw one of the preseason games for the Flames, and it was the first one that Huberdeau suited up for. So I literally got to watch his first game in a Calgary uniform,
Nice.
and I am disappointed that he hasn't been that guy coming
Yeah.
in yet, because I remember watching him in that game, and he had one assist where he just walked in on the side. And he just fucking 360'd it and just sent it. I thought he lost the puck because it just went flying across the crease right to somebody standing back door, and they just fired it in. I'm like, it's a preseason game, dude. Chill.
I do remember that one.
I was
actually,
like,
yeah.
I can't believe that he didn't pan out as elite as they want him to. But
Yeah.
I'm definitely confident he'll get there eventually, or at least get closer back to what it
Yeah.
was. He's not a half a point player.
Play with more confidence, and I think, it was sad last year to see Peltier go down with an injury, because, man, those two are, I don't know if you guys follow their social media as much, but, literally Peltier calls him dad, because, just huge dad energy, and, on
Hell
the
yeah.
bench, Peltz is just, hyping him up, and
Oh,
he's
is he living with them?
uh,
Because those are the vibes.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, because literally it's just I can't remember what it was, but something. Oh, it was Peltier signed his deal, and Huberdeau signed congrats son or something, and Instagram and
And that's a good vibe to have though.
Yeah.
Between your veterans and your younger.
yeah,
guys.
you get those
Yeah.
guys that are hanging out and being that guy they can lean on, guy they can go to be like, hey,
Yeah.
I'm down in the dumps, we keep losing games, and it's like, hey man, you're doing good,
Yeah.
individual stats, or just hype the guys, keep the morale up, right?
Yeah.
So
For a while there, that was Stamkos doing that for Ross Colton. Ross Colton went to Stamkos, was like, hey, I want to fucking rip bombs on the power play too. Can you teach me that? And they started working on the offseason, and he was on power play 2 next year, and you could tell because he was, he's not Ovechkin, but he was ripping them a lot better than he was the year before. You know, he could actually time a one-timer and stuff. So
Yeah.
and you know, he ended up making some pretty good bank with Colorado. Like it, just hanging out with those guys and stuff can really do a lot for the young guys.
Well,
and that's why they do it. You know, freaking Crosby lived with Mario Lemieux when he entered the league, and so did Fleury.
Yeah.
Like that,
and that's why I'm thinking
it's
like
just so good for him.
that's why I'm like really curious with like, you know, what's happening in San Jose, because it's like I can't remember the last time we've seen it, but it's like, you know, Celebrini's living with Thornton, Will Smith's living with Marlowe, but it's like Thornton and Marlowe aren't playing anymore.
Yeah.
Like they've been retired for a few years, so it's like so now it's like I'm curious to see what the kind of the dynamic is, where it's not like, you know, you're living with a veteran, but it's like it's still your teammate, it's your boy, it's like you're just living with like a legend. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like basically like dad,
Yeah.
Just a franchise all-time great, and but it's like, you know, you walk out the front door and it's like, you know, it's not like, hey,
hey, let's go to the
let's
game.
go to practice
go to
together
practice,
or something. It's
yeah.
like, see when I'm back from prac here for the game, like
Have a great day at school.
yeah,
Great day at
right?
school,
So
Well,
It's-
Thornton will
it's-
probably go with him. Still got to do his shower inspections.
yeah, no, he's not wrong though. Like Jumbo was the guy, even on off days, he would go to the rink just to shower.
Oh, man.
Because if he went
just
one
lives
day
at the
without it at the
arena.
rink, apparently it was awful for him. So
It's so good. Dude just loves being surrounded by hockey. Like, you love to see it, man.
But that's the thing though. Like it's so cool seeing like guys like Huberdeau and Peltier create those relationships, and then sometimes it even leads to, you know, I would like to see maybe play on a line together, and just see if that bond and what they've got, like can it translate to success on the ice. And for some guys it does, some it doesn't. But
Yeah, like most teammates are on pretty good terms consistently. But like you know, there's a difference between, you know, how this teammate and this teammate feel versus, you know, these guys who are absolute boys, right?
Like calling each other dad and son. It's
Like
that's a step up.
Yeah,
from,
they might be playing a little bit harder every shift, you know, trying to make something happen for each other. Like so,
even just the hyping up, like I said, like Huberdeau scored a goal or something, and they go to the bench, and like I think this was around the time when he was like kind of down to the dumps, like, you know, he was being benched and not getting much time, and then, you know, he scored a goal or he made an assist or something, and you see Peltier just sitting next to him, just like hyping him. Yeah, that's great.
Dude, those clips are so good of the guys on the bench just losing their mind. Like, for like when. Like, because of course I have to make everything about the Lightning. When Kucherov scored his 100th assist in Game 82 this year, like the whole bench is like losing their mind, and then, you know, 1 or 2 minutes pass. They're gonna do the next face-off. Everyone's dying down. Hagel's sitting there freaking shaking him on the bench. Yeah, let's go. Like he's still losing his mind. Everyone else has sat down. He hasn't. Like, you just need some guys who just like bring the party sometimes.
Oh,
like,
yeah. You have to. Like, you
that's-
need those guys. They're integral to, you know, team success and whatnot.
Yeah.
That's why you pay Ryan Reeves the big bucks.
That might be a bit of a stretch. It's something. Like, having Ryan Reeves is something.
No comment?
Yeah, someone has to play the music in the locker room.
The only player I've seen fall down the stairs mid-game while the game's going on, you see him fall down the stairs. I'm like, what's happening?
Well, if you don't count Michael Bunting getting pushed down by the refs.
Yeah, that's true. He had that one coming, though.
Yeah, it was fun. The ref really gave
He
him one.
really did shove him.
But anyway, this is probably going to be our longest episode we've ever done so far. But if you've survived all the way to the end, thank you so much for joining us. Any parting words from you fellas?
No, I'm good. It's just fun to talk about two Alberta teams, two different directions, but looking forward to, you know, just their games, because regardless of where the teams are at, Battle of Alberta games are always a good time. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess we do have one bit of business left, and that would be selecting the two teams that we cover next episode on the podcast here. So I do believe we have, is it 4 teams remaining?
Yeah.
We have 4 teams. So you know what, Cody, we're going to throw it to you. Usually we each pick a team, so you can assign any of these teams to either one of us.
All right.
Out of the 4, that would be the Tampa Bay Lightning, the San Jose Sharks, the New York Rangers, and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Feel free to divvy them up, divvy one team to each of us, however you see fit.
That's a. I mean, there's like an obvious choice, but also like.
I'm not opposed to doing Tampa.
Well,
I'm not opposed to it. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be. Kind of interesting to see. Obviously, Braden's a big Lightning fan. Brandon's a big San Jose, but like see the other side of it. Guys kind of just dive into each other's teams and see. Obviously, you can talk about your own team for a lot, and I mean, hockey fans in general. I mean, I try my best to talk about Edmonton as much as I'm a Flames fan, but sometimes you got to look at the hockey side of things and go, yeah, you know what, Connor McDavid is a pretty good player.
Yeah,
but
That's why we had a handshake deal. We did. He covered Vegas for one, and I did Florida. So we made sure that
you didn't have to.
we didn't have to do our rivals. We stayed away from that.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. If you guys want to do,
we'll do each other's then.
Do each other's teams, and then.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. I'll be covering the San Jose Sharks, and Brundy will be covering the Tampa Bay Lightning next episode.
I'm just gonna talk about Kucherov for an hour.
How can you?
Oh no!
This is nonstop.
No, please
don't do that.
Anyone but him.
I'm just glazing over
I
here.
like the idea of that, though. I think it's a good spin. So.
Yeah, and we both have so much to say about our own teams that it'll almost be better for the person who knows a bit less to kind of lay things out, and the other person can fill in the gaps. So
yeah,
I love how we just keep pushing the Rangers more and more. We've had so many
I
times
keep thinking
like,
you'll take
we'll
them.
do them now, and it's just like
it's just Sturkin would sign.
They're literally gonna go to the last one. So then so next one will be San Jose and Tampa. And the final one will be Columbus and the Rangers. So
yeah, you'll be covering the Rangers. We'll do Columbus.
I'm okay with that. Yeah. We'll just lay it out. I'm okay with that. Again, I'll do Rangers.
All right,
I'm okay with it as long as the suits don't come after me.
Yeah, no, they're too busy sharing a beer in Toronto.
That's true. That is right.
Yeah, you're
all right. We've been going forever. Brody, get us the hell out of here. Hit us with that slick outro.
Well, once again, we want to thank Cody for joining in here, our first guest
Absolutely.
on the pod.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I hope you had a good time.
Yeah.
It's good to talk hockey for an undisclosed amount of time. Normally, I have a timer beside.
I was going to say we are in a little bit of a different setup, so we don't have a timer. I can't even put a guess on. Maybe we'll do a guess afterwards. Where I think we're at.
I think we're past 3 hours.
No,
we might be. It's. I don't know exactly when we started.
The surface.
I think we're closing in on it.
Yeah, we're probably pretty
Our
close.
longest episodes are just north of 2 hours, so
just
I
guys
definitely
being
think we
dudes,
passed that. But
talking hockey, sharing a beer.
Yeah, we have a lot of Flames fans that listen, and a couple Edmonton Oilers fans as well. So you know what? It makes a lot of sense to cover them a little bit extra.
Yeah.
Had to put that in there.
Yeah, we do thank everybody for tuning in and listening. We hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to join in on any of the conversations or talk hockey with us, you can do so by clicking any of the links in the description below on whatever platform you listen to this podcast on. That about it?
That's it.
That's it. All right. Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you guys next week.